and believe it or not, I'm even one of those people. It's kind of weird. I do better with a big crowd than I usually do with a small crowd. But I am a very personable person, and coming out of the church, I'm used to talking to people. But then you also just have those people who just who feel, and I know some of them who feel like, okay, I got your money now, I got whatever, I'm out. You don't really mean anything to them. But I think because of the way I came up in music, that I appreciate people's time even more so than the money. Is that the fact people take the time to drive sometimes 30, 40 minutes an hour. I've been in Europe where I've had people drive from one country to another country, because this time we didn't play in their country, and they would drive 4 or 5 hours to another country to see you at a venue. To me, that means a lot, So
people when fans take the trips,
So what? Well, I've always been of the mind. So then, how could I be so arrogant as not to sit here and talk to people? And people, for me, it might be just me 10 minutes talking to you. But for them, it could be a lifetime remembrance for them. It just be 10 minutes. It's no big deal.
Exactly.
Several times I've had people that were literally going to kill themselves. And wind up talking to me, and we get to talking, and just talking, and and they're send me letters later, like, I was going to do this, I was going to do that, and after talking to you, I felt like blah blah blah. I'm like, damn, but these people are looking up to you, and you should be at least spare a few minutes. I take it overboard. Like I said, I like to say, like, I'm like BB. I'll be out there 2-3 hours. No matter, it ain't hurt me. It's like I ain't gonna go to sleep anyway, because it takes me a couple hours to come down after the show. So why not hang out, talk to people, and chill, and so I'm known at festivals and whatnot. Ray walked off the stage, changed clothes. I'm out there selling CDs for a while, but hell, I might be at the front row or walk around the back, smoking a cigar if they'll let me. And people, people didn't know who I was. I was out back chilling. People like, hey, walk up later and walk by you a couple of times. You can tell they're looking at you. Walk by, and they're like, aren't you Sugaray? I'm like, yeah. And then also people, woof, like, yeah, Yeah. But I like that. Michael Jackson used to do that. People don't know that. A lot of people don't know that Michael Jackson used to do that after shows.
He would be personable to a lot of people.
No, because he was an introvert, but he would go in disguise and be in the audience or walk around cities at night in disguise. Oh, wow. He used to do that all the time.
Oh, wow.
I found that out from somebody I knew. So he would come off the stage, and he literally, like, sometimes, if it's his concert, he couldn't do that at the concert, but he would walk around the city, walk around. He used to walk around in disguise. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
After shows.
Yeah. Big man. Yeah. Where did it all come from, man? When did you start, getting them pipes strong like you do, man? When did it start for you?
I don't know about no pipes, man. I'm just loud, but
you're definitely loud.
Oh yeah. I started in the church, man. Like everybody. I mean, I was 5 years old. I started in the Sunshine Band, but my mother was like one of the greatest singers of all time. I know that Shirley Caesar wanted my mother to sing, and a few other people. My grandma wouldn't allow her to travel like that. Because it didn't matter. She still wound up having 3 sons. So, but I always tell people, I grew up in the church, man. And so I said, people always talk about singers and stuff, and I'm always telling them, like, they've been saying this singing, that singing. So I said, man, I know people you ain't never heard of. They walk up here and grab that mic, and when she get done, old girl that got all them Grammys over there won't even begin to think about touching that microphone. Matter of fact, her management team would be like, I said, but they sing for the Lord, and just they wait. But yeah, I grew up in the Church of God in Christ Holiness, and you had to sing, you had to play, and not sing, you had to sing.
Yeah, you had to sing.
You had to figure out what you're singing when people don't understand the difference between singing and singing.
Yeah, nah.
Aretha come out the church. Aretha learned to sing. Gladys Knight come out the church. She learned to sing. Ain't just singing. They used to say you got to get ugly. You can't get ugly when you're singing. When you're singing, you get the ugly face.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize the church is like the best training for your vocals, man, because you got to get there. You up and down. You learn key, you learn your note, you learn your pitch, you learn everything, man. And you learn how to sing.
You learn how to sing. And I mean, I started in the choir, and I remember they put me between, my voice was higher then, so I could go second alto or first tenor. And so they put me in that spot. I was in that Ricky Warren used to call it the training spot. So he put me right next to the first tenor, which is usually the strongest singer in the choir, and then that second alto, who was the second, and I'd be in the middle there. And he said, "You gonna sing this key tonight? Stay on your key. Y'all let me know if he jump on the other key." So it's hard. You start singing, and your voice can go either way. Your mind, like, well, I like what she's at. So you start singing the first tenor, and then Ricky, 203 and quadrant, he knew. He stopped it like, you singing alto tonight. Why you singing tenor? Like, damn, how did you hear that? So that's how I learned. The crucible, baby. I tell people that by the time you come out of the church, you already pro.
Right.
You're looking for an opportunity.
That's
you already pro. You're just looking for an opportunity.
So did you think singing was gonna be a thing?
Nah. I was just telling you, man, I left the church. I was 18, joined the Marine Corps early mid-80s, and from then up until 19 from 86 to 1999, I didn't sing at all.
Really?
Didn't play. No, I was a Marine. Then after that, I was a bodyguard for a while. Then I was a bouncer. I was raised by my son, my family at the time, and music. When I left, I kind of left music behind because I was like, at the time, I remember thinking like, you're surrounded by great musicians and great singers and great people that, they're struggling. They make no, other than singing for the Lord, and this was the old church. Like I said, we didn't get paid like they do today.
Right.
They might have took up a love offering for you, maybe once in a blue moon. And so I didn't see a future in it. So, I let it go. And didn't miss it, really. Didn't think about it. It wasn't until I was a bouncer, a cooler at this club in Carlsbad, California, live music venue, and called the Boy Crossing. And they would have bands come in, but I'm the cooler. I got bouncers working for me. And one night, at this time I was with my ex. Things were bad, and I had met Pam, but we were just friends. But one night, some rock band was in, and he lead singer, he tried to show out for the girls and do his thing. And I walked by, and for some reason, he put the mic in front of me, or basically like, I don't know what it was, but like I always could be like it was like a top hat, like nobody can do what I'm doing, and he threw the mic at me. And I was like, well, I don't know this song, and I don't know what the song is, but a lyric, a melody is a melody is a melody. So I can make up something, and so that was probably the first time I sang in 13 years. So I just let rip. And back then I used to do a lot of vocal gymnastics. I was still all into all the runs and all that stuff. Yeah, but that was part of the thing. And I handed the mic back to him and kept walking, and then and everybody knew me as the cooler. So it was like one of them E.F. Hutton moments. Everybody just kind of stared at me, and I walked on to the front door to check my front door guy, and then Pam, at that time my friend, she came up to me a week later, and she said, "Why don't you sing?" And I remember saying, "Huh? Ain't no money in singing." At that time I was working 3 jobs. I had 3 jobs. I'll always remember that. I had been working 3 jobs for like 6-7 years, and she like, "You gonna kill yourself with these jobs?" And blah blah blah. And she's like, "Your whole soul lit up when you sang." I said, "Oh really?" I said, "No, you can't be no living singing." And go on from there. Right across the street, there was right across the street, across railroad tracks, literally 100 yards. There was this other little club called the Alley, and there was this great blues band that played there every Wednesday night. Well, Wednesday nights was the one night at the club that I acted as a bouncer. It would just be me and one bartender, and usually it was the night that the club would try out new bands, like band, because she used to get a box of people that wanted to play, a box of CDs and at that time tapes of people that wanted to come in and play. And also somehow it became my job to look through these tapes and bring a band in. And so Wednesday night they couldn't be on the stage, but they'd be right there in front of the bay window, and it'd just be like, be 15, 20 people in there. So it'd be one bartender and myself. But across the street at the Alley, you had this great blues band they used to play called Running Lane and the Texas Twisters. Running Lane and the Texas Twisters. That's a name. He was a cool cat too. Well, that place would be jumping. the club was probably about the size of the Rhythm Room.
Mm-hmm.
But they'd have 300 people in there on the Wednesday night. It would be jumping. And so sometimes when it was really, really slow over there with us, because our club was a rock club. We had bikers and then Marines. It was always weird. It was always crazy. But so Wednesday night time, I walk across the street. They had a big glass bay window up front too. I'd walk across the street because I could see the front door from across the street. I'd walk over there and look in and see them playing, some blues. I ain't know nothing about blues. The only blues I ever heard was ZZ Hill. My uncle used to play on his 8-track in his truck, so I would hear ZZ Hill. It was a blue moon living back in Texas, but I was like, man, this almost sounds like gospel. This almost sounds like this. This just real music. Really dug it. And a couple times, Running Lane called me, saw me in the window, called me in. I run in and sit in on something, saying something. I don't know any blues songs. I'm just making up stuff, but having a good time. And it all kind of led from there. Next thing you know, I started my first funk band, which was my first foray back into music, called the Urban Gypsies in San Diego. And our very first show was a corporate show for Coca-Cola. I remember us doing that show, knocking it out. Then we said, let's put this thing together, let's do this. And so within a year or two, the Urban Gypsies became one of the top corporate bands and the club bands in the San Diego scene. And so, we played the Belly Up, we played Mr. A's, all these different shows and whatnot, but some was still missing. And I remember we got our own night at the Belly Up. And the Belly Up holds between 800 to 1,000 people. It's crazy. It's where all the big actions come through. We got our own night. We're going to get a Thursday night. They're like, we're going to, you guys have been opening for everybody. We open for Dennis Quaid. We open for Parliament. We open for, we never opened for Etta, but she used to play it all the time. But we opened for a bunch of people. And that Thursday night was September the 12th. I remember, we had booked it a month out, and it was the day after 9/11. And I remember there's like 4 people in that big room, and we were just like, it was just crazy. And they're like, well, we'll do it again. But by that time, I realized the blues is where I wanted to be because it was like gospel. I joined Aunt Kizzy's boys. Within 6 months of joining them, we released our first album. Another 6 months after that, we had took second place at the IBC, and then we just never looked back.
And the rest is history.
Rest is history.
Who was the first blues musician that you've heard of? Did you go into the founding fathers? Was it Muddy Waters, B.B. King, Jimmy Rogers, or was it somebody?
No, the first blues album that I became quote unquote aware that it was blues, like I said, it was ZZ Hill. I had an uncle lived out the country. I remember he had that step-side Chevy, but he had his 8-track. He was cool as hell. Snakeskin boots, his hat. We from Texas, so we put creases in our jeans. That's the way we did it. Starched them up. They stand up in the corner by themselves.
Yeah, that's how we do it in Chicago.
And Uncle Althea would be playing that. He loved ZZ Hill, and he loved Johnny Copeland and them cats. But I remember, for some reason, I always remember him playing ZZ Hill and Down Home Blues, or it was some song. And I remember sitting in the driveway one time when he came back. My cousin and them sitting over the stump playing dominoes and drinking Thunderbird. And he came pulled up playing that Down Home Blues. I was like, man, I think it was Down Home Blues. It was one of early ZZ Hill. And I remember my aunt running out there his name was Althea Porter, Uncle Althea. And we used to say Porter. Y'all say Porter, but we say Porter. Althea Porter. And he pulled up, and I was listening to that, bobbing my head. My aunt ran out there Althea, turn that junk off. That boy's a church boy. You don't need to hear that mess and blah, 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 blah. But that was the first one I heard. Yeah, ZZ Hill. And when I really got into the blues, the guy from Running Lane in Texas Swiss, his name Tim Cash. He was also a member of the Bayou Brothers. Tim Cash, the bass player of that band, gave me a paperback book because he's like, man, you got a great voice, but you don't know any of your songs. I don't know blues, man. I'm digging it, but I don't know. He gave me a paperback book. It had 10,000 blues songs in it, the words and the music. I wish I still had that book. And I went home and I kind of digest that book like it was crazy. But that led me into the B.B. King, and then like a lot of people, you hear B.B. and all that, but then it led me into who I thought was the greatest, Son House and all that kind of stuff. And that later, all that deeper stuff, Mississippi John Hurt, Son House, all them cats. That came later. But my first ZZ Hill.
Yeah. How about Albert Collins? Were you ever influenced by him? He came in that.
No, I would hear about him. I mean,
yeah.
But I didn't know any of his music. I didn't realize. I didn't know.
Have you? I guess now you got to know about him more now, Albert Collins.
Yeah. Debbie Davies, who would play rhythm guitar for him for years, was a good friend of mine. I had on my show not too long ago. That I played the show with. But I know all the cats now.
Yeah, now you do.
One thing is a lot of these cats literally were playing down the street from where I live. I'm from. I grew up in East Texas. I grew up both in Tyler and Oak Cliff, Dallas, down in West Dallas and Oak Cliff. And a lot of these clubs that Freddie King and all that were playing in, but literally, a mile down the street from where I was at. Because I live where I'm from the ghetto, where the bootleggers and all this stuff went down, and that's where they were playing. That's where the joints used to be. Down there, we used to call the bottom.
How did you come up with your formula for your style, man? You can hear funk, you can hear blues, you can hear soul, you can hear some R&B, and of course you hear gospel in there. I mean, it's like a melting pot of all of that.
Well, that's because that's who I am. I mean, gospel's got to come through, and the gospel comes through for me because I don't sing a song unless I believe in the song. Mm-hmm. The part about entertaining comes through because I come out of the church, and with the church, you couldn't just be good. Because everybody was good. You had to have something.
Church, you had to act a fool.
Yeah, you had to have something. people talk about T-Bone Walker. When T-Bone was doing the splits and playing behind his head and all that, and people were like, yeah, that's amazing. Why? I said, you come out of the church. and they're like, and people would look at me like I'm crazy. And they, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, everybody can play a guitar and sing. So you had to do something that made you stand out, Yeah. And for me, as I got older and I became a bigger guy, I realized I love to dance. And for a big dude, I move pretty good. So, I said, well, let me entertain folks. I'm gonna sing, but let me entertain them too. It freaked them out till it got 6'5", 3 pounds, dropping it like it's hot and getting low and doing the stage. They just sitting there like, how is that possible? And because, we live in today's world. So I did years of the traditional, quote unquote, traditional Chicago style blues, Mississippi style blues. I love that. Don't get me wrong. I love that. But that's not where I'm from. I'm from East Texas, 30, 40 minutes from Shreveport. I'm used to having a B3 and horns and harmonizing, and you're used to having that soul element into your music. Like, you can have a good guitar player, but you better have a good saxophone player and a good B3 player. Right. And the melodies are just different, Mississippi to me has always been Chicago has always been Mississippi style blues with the Chicago and became electric, and that's the bomb. You got Buddy, you got Wolf, you got G Wells on there, but at the same time, I've been a crusade to like, hey people, y'all forgetting about the ZZ Hills, the Tyrone Davises, the Bobby Womack's, the Johnny Copelands, they keep forgetting the soul side of blues. Yeah. And it's gotten so bad when I first came into the blues world that a lot of the blues people, if it wasn't like the rock side, if it wasn't guitar or harmonica or whatnot, they almost didn't think it was. I know people in the blues world who will tell you that Albert King ain't blues, or tell you that Bobby Bland ain't blues.
What would they consider him then? Usually,
they consider him R&B or soul.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but soul is part of the blues. These exactly. Cats are And so if you notice, if you look at the progression of about 10 albums I've done, you know the progression that I went. Well, Blind Alley was pretty much sort of like the last few albums, but no one really knew who I was then. And then I did a series of Chicago style albums or California swing albums with the Managed Boys and my own stuff, and set in with a lot of different people. But then when I dropped the album with me and the Daptones and Italian Royal Family, that the World We Live In album. I told people I came out because I didn't want the blues heads to get upset. I said, this is not a blues album, it's a soul album. Now I said that on purpose because I knew the people that really understood what was going on realized that this is blues with soul in it. It's no different than the rock guys that play blues. They call it rock blues. Well, soul blues been around longer than the rock blues have because soul been around longer than rock. Right. And so I wanted to, it's been my mission, my mantra is to re-educate people on soul blues. And then, when I started going to the BMAs, you know, you had Zach Harmon was the only cat that doing it, but by the time I come around, it was me, it was Wee Willie Walker. You had Zach Harmon, then you got Toronzo Cannon, you got a few cats who are delving into that soul blues thing and giving it, you know, Frank Bay, you know, I'm sad that Frank and Wee Willie gone, because I love Johnny Ross, I love those cats, you know, Otis Taylor out of Chicago. Otis gave a lot of soul into his blues, but it's like, it's kind of a misrepresented genre of the blues, if that makes any sense, in my mind.
You right, big guy.
So I go out there and that's what I do, you know. And I realized that when I started doing festivals around the world, every festival, according to the Blues Festival, Jazz Festival, you know, it had got to a point where the money wasn't where it used to be. So we show up at these festivals and every band was basically a power trio or a four-piece. It would be a guitar, harmonica, bass, and drums.
Right.
And I'm like, I remember sitting there, you know, and this is the pro Negro part of me. I don't want to say the other word, the pro, but you know, I used to sit there and I'd be like, well, we've been here for 3 days. You've been had 36 bands, and they all sound the same because they all using the same instrumentation.
Right.
So I said, I'm gonna switch this up. I'm gonna do what I like. I'm gonna bring a B3, a good guitar player, bass and drums, and a horn section, and then I'm gonna be dancing and entertaining because ain't nobody doing it anymore. And it took a while, and it cost me an arm and a leg because, you know, I wasn't making no money, but I got a 7-piece band. But it finally caught on, and everybody was like, "Oh, because you know, we come in, we wouldn't headline, and we'd be like 6th place in the middle somewhere where they just put you you know, they don't want you to put you at the beginning, you can't open, right. And they don't want to put you at the end because you ain't got no name, so you're in the middle somewhere, which was great for us. Because we show up and blow it out the water, and then people sitting there like, now everybody before us sound the same. Then we come in with a whole different sound because in an hour set, yeah, I may have 2 guitar solos, but then I'm having a B3 solo. Then I'm having a saxophone solo. So my entire set was like a concert within a set. Mm. And then I move off the stage and it goes back to harmonica and guitar for the rest of the night.
Yeah. And
so that finally caught on. It caught on so much that almost every band now is using my formula. You look around. I know a lot of bands that were just power trios or 4-pieces when a few years ago, just 4 or 5 years ago. Now they all got a keyboard player and horns.
They coming out with that sugar touch, huh?
Yeah. I'm taking it because they weren't doing it before I came in. You know, maybe back in BB's day, but everybody else had whittled down money wise. They weren't doing it.
Yeah, they weren't doing it. Yeah.
You mentioned festivals. You played at Flagstaff Blues and Brews a few years ago. What was like there? I know that's a fun one. How was it playing up there?
Oh, it's always fun. I played it a couple of times. I think I played the initial one when they first opened. I remember I had my older horn guys with me, Gary and Big Al. Big Al used to play with the Temptation and 4 Tops, and Gary used to be with the CBS Orchestra. So they older cats. And this was my regional band. And we was hitting it hard. And I didn't realize it, like I only had, like I'm sweating right now. Just sitting there. I'm always sweating. But I only had 1 bead of sweat. And I was working my butt off. And I was out of breath and didn't realize it. And the horns wasn't blowing hard like I normally have them blowing. I was like, what's wrong with y'all? And so it was like, we was on the break. And then my wife looked at me, she's like, hey, why you being so hard on the horns? I'm like, I know they older cats, but they ain't blowing. I'm like, these cats normally blow the roof off this joint. You know, they kind of, she's like, babe, you know, we are at 7,500 feet.
Altitude,
and they 70-something years old. Well, you know, I didn't realize it. I was in really good shape back then. It never even crossed my mind that they try to blow horns at 70-something years old. They sucking wind.
Did you find it when you were playing there? It was a little harder just because of it was a little harder to get used to because of the altitude there.
Did not bother me at all.
How about some of your other band members?
That's what I was just saying. My horn guys were having a hard time. Then the second time we played it, which was the recent time, you know, the band has changed a bit, and I had some young horn guys with me. But my keyboard player, who's also my music director, Drake Shannon, Drake used to play with Al Green. He played with Deep Purple and all that stuff out of Pasadena. We were playing. It was us, Karen Lovely, Danielle Nicole, and I can't remember who else on the bill. But we played, and I get the keyboard player a solo, and he started playing some crazy off the wall. I'm like, what the hell? And I said, this is blues, not jazz. And he's got this look on his face, and so I didn't think anything about it. So later, we in the beer tent, we all talking and chopping it up. And I'm like, and I look over and I say, Drake, what was up with the jazz, man? Blah, blah. He's like, man, I wasn't playing jazz. He said, man, I was so lightheaded. He said, I started playing. He's like, and I was playing. I'm like, what the hell am I playing? He's like, my mind wasn't playing with my fingers wasn't playing what my mind was saying. It was just going on. He said there wasn't even keys. It was just stuff. I was like, dang, again. And Drake is a little older, getting that altitude. But by the time we did the Mammoth Blues and Brews, like I said, with us, Trombone Shorty, Kingfish was on that one, and the Bone Shakers, and that one's up pretty high. But we gotten used to it. The guys, I mean, we travel so much now.
Yeah.
They got used to it, and they had oxygen on the stage.
They had some oxygen to help out at the stage.
Yeah, it was funny because the guy, I mean, I'm a big dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, I put on some extra weight since the COVID, but I just started working out this week again. So I started doing my 15 minutes on the elliptical and started lifting. So because we get ready to go back out, so I got to drop these 30 and 40 if I get back to fight weight. But
check you out.
I was like, the guy he kept looking at me with oxygen, like every time I turn and look at me like, you need oxygen? I'm like, no, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Yeah.
I guess because I was big, he was expecting me to just pass out or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to meet a lot of fans at that festival? Because I know they're really into it. And
oh, heck yeah. Oh yeah. I sat around, like as always, I sat around and talked to them for an extra couple hours, and then me and who was it? It was me and my bass player found out that they had a cigar tent.
Yeah.
It was over with then.
Oh, it was over, bro. They put in a tent with a full humidor with some cigar company. They were one of the vendors. They came sell and little beer garden out front. Oh, I was on. And I'm sitting over there. I changed clothes. I just look like one of the brothers. And I got through at least one cigar. It was the second cigar before somebody like, hey man, ain't you Sugaray? And they're like, yeah, man, yeah, right. Then I had to answer questions and stuff. But I had went through a whole cigar and started a second one before anybody even realized who I was, And they probably wouldn't even realize it was me if it wasn't my bass player with and with the two of us, they're like, man, because you saw people looking, but they wasn't sure. They're like, all black people kind of look alike. Maybe they just another brother over there. And there was a lot of brothers there. And but yeah, they finally like, and then I couldn't even finish that one, but it was cool. But yeah, hope to get to do that one again. That was
do you think that I know obviously with everything going on, it's kind of held back, but do you think that if when that festival can get back to having live performance, it can continue to grow as a festival, more people know about it?
I think I think that they should, and it's sad that they don't, because I only found out about it. One of my entire bands got stolen by Dave Mason after one show. So I had Albino Bennett, used to be with LTD, was my drummer. Tony Pallett was the guitarist. Jean-Luc Perrick was the bassist. And it just happened with bands. When you're playing big shows, you're playing against, sometimes you're playing with legends and people who are doing really well, and people steal band members. But anyway, they played it. And Albino was telling me, like, man, you should go. He played with Dave Mason. He said, you should go check out this Mammoth Blues and Brews. So that was a few years before, and I was real shocked that I got the phone call to come in and play, and we were on tour. And so we drove out there, and man, I was like, man, this is really cool, because I've gone up to Tahoe a lot. Never. That was the very first time I'd actually really been to Mammoth, and I was like, I love that festival. I mean, they only had about 2,000 or 3,000 people. But I'm like, this festival could be, 15,000, 20,000 people easy. And they were paying for top line acts. And like I said, I mean, the bill was me, Kingfish, Trombone Shorty, the Bone Shakers. I mean, as well as I think they have a couple other stages going with other music. So it was a hell of a festival. Yeah. I know they want to grow, but I would say this. It's cool to get in those festivals that are like between 2,000 to 5,000 people. Because they're big, but they're not so big where
it's hard for everybody to.
Yes, because people don't realize that once you get to like 7,000, 10,000, 20,000 people, everything changes. Security changes. Your access to the audience
is not
changes.
The same. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
hard to be as personal with the fans.
Well, yeah, because then all of a sudden, it's 7,000 people. When they changed those laws some years ago, so 7,000 people. This is why you go to a venue that's usually 5,000 people. You can walk right up to the stage. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah.
Now, once you get to like 7,000 people or so, they put up a berm.
Yeah.
They put up the metal railing, and it's like 10 feet or 7 feet or something like that from the actual stage. You know, I don't know what the ruling is, why they do that, but I've noticed that over years of playing. But I've been notorious. I've gotten in trouble for that. You know, I've been notorious to jump down there and jump over the railing and walk out and sing with the fans. And
I can see that.
And people like, oh, you got to be worried. I'm like, look, what somebody gonna do to me? They gonna kidnap me while I'm walking through here singing? That's some heavy ass dragon. But you know, all right. But you know, yeah, because I like being close to the people. So yeah. So I know they want to grow, but I would caution them not to grow too much. I mean, look what happened to Coachella.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when Coachella was just like a small to medium sized festival, and only people knew about it were people that would go out and camp out for a week and whatnot and chill and blah 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 blah. And now it's like they have what? They have two festivals basically. They do two weeks of Coachella to get it going. It's a little over 1 million people. The whole city is grown up where there used to be nothing there.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's this. You know, where the tickets used to be like $10, $20, you can see some pretty good people. Now the tickets what $150, $200, and you camping out, and you got to still. Even if you want to camp out, you got to get there a week before to get a spot to camp in and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, when it gets too big, it gets to a point where, you know, for some people, that's fun.
On a different level, wanted to ask you a different level. You know, people rock got really popular, but do you think that because it's just so many people, it took away from the personability in that genre because you get some rock concerts where it's 15, 20,000 people watching it, so it takes away from it? Or even in other genres?
No. I mean, no. I mean, the biggest crowd that I ever played to was the Waterfront, and that was 134,000 people at one time. So, you know, I'm sitting there. There's a couple pictures on the website. You can see me standing up, crowd 134,000 people. It depends on the venue and the way the venue is set up and the way the venue is run. As big as the Waterfront is, they get 1 million people in 5 days. And they got some of the biggest acts in the world playing. You know, I mean, I think it's 7 stages. It's crazy. I had 134,000 people. There was no gate in front of the stage.
Yeah.
Man, the stage is 8 feet high.
Right.
But there's no gate in front of the stage, so people can stand right there. You can sweat on them. You can whatever. You know, and it depends on how that venue is run and the atmosphere. The atmosphere you've invoked in the venue. That make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's what the atmosphere you bring to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now I think the saving grace for Coachella is I think that they've still been there. I haven't been there in a long time, but from what I hear, it sounds like they've still been able to, even though they're getting over 1 million people, they've still been able to keep the atmosphere of your free spirit, you know, Woodstocky type deal, you know, but you know, a lot of times that changes. So, you know, once you start putting 80,000 people into a stadium, then you got them in a confined space, and you know, the outdoor venues do better to me. I mean, you know, I don't know. You think about it. You want to pay $200 to be up in the nosebleed where you need binoculars to see a band.
Yeah.
Is there's one band in the stadium? Okay, you're doing the soccer stadium. There's one band playing, or maybe 2 bands, but you up in the freaking, you know, nosebleed where you got to have a little extra TV to watch what's going on the satellite. Or would you like to be in an open venue where there's like 6 bands playing at once, and you can walk around with your beer in your hand, chilling in a pair of shorts, meeting people you ain't never met before, you walking around, you going from stage to stage, just chilling, you know.
Yeah.
Some vendors over here got some barbecue going and whatnot, you know, but you can hear, I mean, that's kind of like what I like, you know.
Sure.
Let me ask you this. Do you think a lot of these festivals, like the King Biscuit Festival, well, I don't want to put no names out there, so scratch.
That's on my bucket list, because I never played it.
You never did.
I want to play it. I was on the bill to play the Chicago Blues Festival. It would have been the first time this past year, and that's been on my bucket list. Yeah, but I was playing with Anthony Paul on one stage and one day, and then coming in with my band the second day. So I was looking forward to that.
You would have had a good time because I would have came down and acted a fool with you.
Well, you know, we chopped it up.
Right. Well, what I was saying is like a lot of these festivals, they starting off, like you said, it's a $20 festival, and they're getting a good crowd. Now, I don't know if they're going more corporate with it or whatever, and they're raising the prices up to $150.
Some of that.
Do you think that's hurting the festival?
A bit it is, but some of that is not. Some of that is not the festival fault. Some of that is they have to pay the artists. Yeah. And not only do they have to pay the artists, depending on where you are, they got to pay the city. They got to pay. There's a lot that goes. People don't realize there's a lot that goes in it. One of the main reasons that Coachella moved out to where it was, a lot of people don't realize originally that festival was supposed to be in LA.
Yeah.
They couldn't afford the what do they call that thing? It's insurance or something that you have to buy, and then the city tacked on. They had to, at the beginning a certain amount of police officers have to be dedicated to that. They had to pay for that. It's a lot to pay for. So one of the whole reason that Coachella went out to where it was they went out far enough where everybody the city of Coachella was small, tiny, and they like we want to hold a festival here. Here's $5,000 for the license to hold the festival. Okay, thank you. And people thought nobody's going to drive out that far from LA and all this to go to Coachella. Well, people fly in from all over the world to go to Coachella. But right. It was smart. Yeah. But this is why a lot of festivals moved away from the cities and moved to the suburbs or in the country for that very reason.
Areas.
So I guess like the cities is just going to cost more money. Like when we have Phoenix
way more
here, just because there's a lot more people, a lot more.
No, because there's a lot more greed in the politicians.
Oh.
I'm saying that they're probably gonna come back and bite me in the hiney, but I mean.
Well, I just seen a lot of good festivals dwindle down because the ticket prices are starting to get too high. And I understand they definitely got to pay the artists because we do the festival circus a lot. So it's like, enjoy the money, but we looking at a crowd that used to be, like you say, 100,000 dwindle down to maybe 20 or 15. Yeah. And the main thing is like it's too high.
Well, and as an artist, it affects your money too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because instead of having 100,000 people to sell merchandise to, you got 5,000 people. You're only gonna get 1 to 2% of them buying merchandise anyway, and that depends on where you are in the lineup. Because I used to always want to be the headliner, and once I started headlining, I realized why headliners charge more because my sales dropped 80%. Why? Because I'm on a day festival or a 2-day festival. There's been 12 acts before me. People have been buying CDs and merchandise since 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't come on to 10 o'clock. They broke, they drunk.
It is done.
I guess like being a headliner is like it has its pros, but then now that you mention it, there's another side to it too when you're a headliner because of, like you said, everybody being already in the festival for that many hours.
Yeah, I know bands, some of the big name bands, they make $60,000 in a day in merchandise sales. So, if you on a big thing like a Palooza and all that, your fans are your fans. But like when you're doing festivals, that you don't want to be the beginning act, unless you're really, really good and you got somewhere else to go. I've done that where I've literally opened up a festival, even though I was a headliner. I opened the festival up because I had to be somewhere else in a short period of hours. Yeah. But if you don't headliner, by the time you come on at a traditional normal festival, they probably got 6 to 10 acts. By the time you come on, people are tired. They may still love you, but they're tired. Mm-hmm. They've been drinking and walking around for 8-9 hours. Yeah. They have probably already got 2 or 3 CDs that they have in their hands or T-shirts. They spent their wad. So as a headline act, not only your name, but you have to ask for a little bit more because you're not going to make anything in merchandise sales or anything. Right. It's just and it took me a while to learn that. Now I want to be in the middle. Right. I realized that those acts actually in the middle, the act where they used to put me in, I used to hate it. Yeah. I realized that is the most advantageous place to be.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah. When you play like with your band and what the difference is when you're the main feature and it's just like at a fest, obviously there's other bands playing throughout the day. When you play and it's your band that people are coming to see, is it a little bit different? I mean, just because now the focus is on your bands rather than people are seeing many bands throughout the whole day.
You mean, far as like if it's a show that
like the rhythm group, like when you play at like when you play at the Rhythm Room, it's like it's your band, and it's it's not the festival where it's been other musicians and bands playing all day. People come out to see just your band. It's a little different for you. I mean, just because you're not
No,
it's
no, I never want to set that precedent. I am balls to the wall,
yeah
and every show you see, it would be that way. I always tell people that when they try to join my band, I say, you got the fourth gear. They're like, yeah, okay, well, you need an overdrive gear, and they be like, what do you mean? Matter of fact, my bass player now, Alan Markel, his test run was at the Rhythm Room. The first time he ever played with the band was at the Rhythm Room when I brought him in. I brought him in that night, and he was pouring sweat. And I think we actually took a break because there are times where we'll play 3 hours, 3.5 hours straight with no break.
Right.
I actually took a break because he was pouring sweat. He was dying over there. I had to ask him, like, hey, man, you all right? He's like, man, he said, I knew you guys play hard, but, I had no idea that, it's this hard. And like, yeah, I said, this is just one show. We did a tour in 2019. One of the tours, we did a 4-month tour. But one of the runs we did was 24 shows in 28 days in 16 states, and we in a van, so but every show you never know who's going to be there, so not only of you must have the stamina with me, but you got to push, because I always tell the band, I want a band that if I Sugar don't give 100%, I want the band to run me over. If they don't give 100%, I'm gonna run them over, because then you get the best out of your band. So I want the band to be well rehearsed, but at the same time, the band you have to leave some spontaneity for the band, which is why I don't do set lists. And people think it's crazy. I make jokes out of it, but it's all very strategic. And the reason why I don't do set lists is so that the band doesn't get tired and bored. When you play 150, 200 shows a year, if you're doing the exact same song in the exact same place every damn night, you start to get the bands and people like anybody. You become a robot.
Right.
Yeah. So because it becomes repetitive. Yeah.
Right.
Do you like when you do like your shows? I mean, like you mentioned that whether it's at a festival or a different conference, do you like to the order in which the songs you play a little bit to so it's like maybe you do one show, you change it up a little bit, or does it stay a lot of it the same? Or how do you?
Nah, we have one song. I used to play Bill Withers, Who Is He? A lot of times, like I have like 3 songs that I call beginning songs. So sometimes I'll start off with like Who Is He? And that is just to get the band to warm up.
Yeah.
And every show we play everywhere will be an entirely different show.
So you try to keep it different, and no matter where it's different from one.
It doesn't try, because it depends on the audience. It's going to be different. I mean, they know all my songs, but the order they're in and where they are, it's going to be different.
It's going to be definitely different.
Yeah.
Do you find like when you, let's say you perform a night show, is it usually like, let's say it's a 8 o'clock show at the Rhythm Room? Is it a lot of preparing all day during the day to get to that point? It's like, say it's 8 o'clock at the Rhythm Room. Is there?
No, most of the band live in LA. I live in Arizona now, so a lot of times it's like they'll probably get there about 4:30 or 5. That's just so they can set up, and do a quick sound check, and then they're chilling. I'll get there at 7:30 or whatever, 7 o'clock, and we kick it off and we roll. And we get done, let's turn around and drive back to LA.
Yeah, and you then just finish the show, then you end up going back to after the show's over.
Yeah, that's what we normally do. But we road dogs though, so we drive to San Francisco, play a show, then turn around and drive home.
Yeah,
we have hotel rooms, but for us, that's only a 8-9 hour drive. So for us, we're like, I'd rather go sleep in my bed. Than to stay. Like I just did I did the Tarantino, I can't ever think of the name, in Colorado. And I can't remember exactly where it is in Colorado. The city is the name of the festival. We finished that festival, and they're like, well, we got the Marriott over here for you, and blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, all right, I appreciate that. I said, but I'm gonna go change clothes and drive home. It's only 15 hours back to Arizona. And the guy looked at me like, 15 hours, blah blah. I said, yeah, man. I said, I don't get home very often, and I'm gonna be up. It was just like 8 o'clock. I said, I'm a musician. I'm gonna be up to 4 a.m. anyway. So instead of sleeping, I'd be on the road. By the time I actually get tired, would be just about the time I'm pulling up at the house.
Yeah. So it's equals
instead of getting home Monday, I'd be home Sunday.
It's a day more difference, yeah.
Yeah. You know, and now usually 14 to 15 hours away, we'll probably drive home. And if like that particular show, I had my truck and the band came up. We came from two different places. They were in the my van with the trailer. So I think they stayed, but I turned and burned. Just came home, you know. So it's like, and normally, but usually anything within 10 hours, we're like, yeah, all right, we go to the crib. All right, see you, we out, you know.
Yeah.
Sugar, I think the last time I seen you was last year. I can't think if it was November, December. You was playing at Legends.
Yeah. Right
It
on.
was in Chicago. I came up to see you. We chit-chat.
That was the first. I was telling somebody that was the third time I played it, but that was the first time that Buddy actually. Was that night the Buddy said in?
Yeah, that's about the night the Buddy got sitting in with you. I was just about to ask you about that. How was that? Because you always smiling and grinning, but you had a glow that night.
Well, because all the times it was funny because all the times I've known the cat, he never really spoke to me very much. Never said anything to me. And I've seen the cat many times, like close, you know. So I was like, well, you know, maybe, you know, he just don't like me or something. I don't know. But that night, you know, he came in, sat down, chopped it up with me. We sat over there and drank some yak. And I think, damn, Mr. Guy. And before I realized that, you know, I'm on the stage, his son come up, you know, the family, everybody there treat me like gold. Yeah. Buddy's never said anything bad to me. It's just that he and I have seen each other over the years.
He just don't speak.
And spoken many times, but he, you know, he never chopped, not like Lazy Lester or some of the other cats that would. Right. I just like, okay, man, you know, I ain't do nothing to the brother, but you know, okay, you know, it is what it is. You know, keep on keeping on.
Right.
And but that night, I don't know what it was. You know, I mean, you know, he took Kingfish under his arm, but it's like he's known me for a while, and I used to think like, well, maybe because I'm not a guitar player or something. I don't know. But that night it was all different. That night, and this was the third night that I played this club. This is the third time I played twice that year, and I played it once. I played it once the year before, and I had played it twice that year. That was the second time. And I had my full band there. I had my guys from England with And I said, we chopped it up for about 30, 40 minutes. I was like, man, Mr. Guy actually, you know, chopped up with a brother, had a drink with a brother, the whole nine. And so I'm on the stage playing, and his son came up and said, hey, man, Mr. Guy want to know if he can sit in. I'm like, he ain't never got an ass to sit in. You know? Well, sit in. What do you want to do? Like, just some slow blues or something, blah, blah, blah. I said, no problem at all, you know? And I did something that I've never done. I mean, I even stood back from the mic and just let him do his thing. You know, because I was brought up the old school way. You don't never give up your microphone for nobody.
Right.
But, you know, I pulled back and like, this is a living legend. And he was supposed to do one song. I think he was.
Yeah, I think we did about what 2 or 3 or something like that.
Yeah. He was enjoying himself, and I was like, and for me, it was like with the band. I was like, this is an experience I can give the band that they never get. They got the backup buddy. You know, they can say that for the rest of their life. You know, it's kind of like we were in Norway earlier that year. It was a real weird year. Earlier that year, we were in Norway, and all of a sudden I'm playing, and I turn around and Bernard Purdy is on the drums. You know, my bass player in tears. You know, he literally in tears because he playing with Mr. Purdy. You know, but I know Mr. Purdy is. He just snuck up and got on the drums, and my drummer happy as hell to let him play with his drums. You know, it's like, you know, and I'm like, damn, but Purdy, okay, all right, you know, cool. So, you know, yeah, sometimes it happens like that. That was good though. That was good, and it's funny because out of all the times I've been to Chicago, it's always been Buddy. Now I played a couple places around Chicago, around that area in Lincoln and some other places, but it was kind of weird. And then I was scheduled to be there again this year, along with the Chicago Blues Fest. You know, I keep saying this year in 2020.
Yeah, in 2020. Yeah.
I was scheduled to be there in 2020.
It's gonna be a great festival, man. Had a lot of things planned for that, man. This year.
Well, I've been looking at that festival since I came into the blues world. You know, that one, the King Biscuit, there was a couple, and I've done all the other ones that were on my bucket list, and some I never thought I would ever play, you know, like the Montreux Jazz and some of the other ones where I got to get in and be in cat.
I want to say Chicago and King Biscuit is probably the 2 biggest in the States, man.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's the prestige of them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care. I didn't care where they put me. Hell, they could put me on the smallest stage next to the kitchen. I was there. I'd have did my thing, but the fact is, I would have been there. So
Yeah.
But the King Biscuit, I've never gotten any love from the King Biscuit. But Chicago Blues Fest, it also helped that Felicia Fields and some of them that I know real well from doing the plays and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They kept telling them, like, you got to get sugar, and it was really cool that they not only did they bring me in, they gonna have me playing 2 nights. One night with the Anthony Pauley Orchestra. It was supposed to be me, Wee Willie Walker, and somebody else sitting in with that band. Mm-hmm. And then the next night, a whole set with just me and my band.
Right.
So I was like, damn, I couldn't knock that.
Well, you'll definitely get to the biscuit. You'll definitely get to the biscuit, man. There's a little politics, but you'll get there.
There's always politics. I've been around a minute. I've been shocked that I never even got an invite.
Yeah. Right. So, hey, tell us about the Grammy nod, man.
Let's bring that back out. That's my nomination medallion right there, baby. You get nominated. Man. You get one of them. Yeah, it was
well deserved, brother. Well deserved.
Well lucky. You know how that goes, man.
How do you feel about all this recognitions with the BMAs and what I'm saying, Blues Blast Awards and Grammy nods?
Oh, that's right. I forgot I got a Blues Blast. That's right. I got Blues Blast and all that. Yeah.
I know.
Dang, I'm yeah, no, it's cool, man. I mean, don't change nothing. I am who I am, and anybody that knows me.
I mean, it's just a little recognition, man. Ain't nothing wrong.
No, it feels good to be recognized. Mm-hmm. But I've been doing the same thing for a long time, and I've had a lot of nominations through the years, and never won. And it was funny because I remember somebody in the foundation one year, I thought I might win. It was way, way back, and they're like, don't give up. You'll win one day. And I'm like, oh, I'm not giving up. I said, I don't see it that way. I said, this cat's been here grinding while I was out in the military and in the world doing my thing. They had been here. I said, they deserve.
Right.
I don't think I should be a cat that just come in. I only been in for a few years, no matter what happens.
You gotta wait your turn.
You wait your turn. Put your dues in. It's the blues. It's about the dues. So it's really cool to start getting recognized and start to be thought of in that era. Now I'm trying to push over into the AAA world, all that stuff too, with the soul thing. Charles Bradley, Sharon Jones are gone. There's only one other cat there, and I can't even think of his name right now. But there's an opening there. But Gary Clark. Now they put me in that realm with Gary Clark and Fantastic Guido and those cats, the contemporary blues thing. But first off, I was shocked at the Grammy. I was shocked at the BMAs. The year before, I had won best soul male artist, and then to win it again, that's what these are back up here. Probably that's pretty cool. But I was shocked, and the Grammy number was really shocking. I was in France. I was in Metz, France, the Terre de Blues Festival, and I'm like, there's 3 festivals around the world where I am considered like the ambassador, and that's one of the ones. And I was laying in the bed right before I needed to go to the venue, matter of fact, and my phone rang, and it was my buddy Willie J. Campbell. Willie J. originally from the Fabulous Thunderbirds, bass player for the Thunderbirds, and he's now with I forget the name of the band, but he called me. He said, "Hey man, congratulations, man." I was like, "On what, bro? What are you talking about?" He said, "You got nominated for a Grammy, man." And I'm like, I said, actually text me, and I said, Willie, this Sugaray you talking to? Which literally, I said, this is Sugaray you talking about? He said, no. And then right after that, my wife called me, and then a bunch of people started calling me, and I was like, damn, I got nominated for a Grammy, and it was great. And then it was weird because the day that they had the Grammy, because they do 2, they do. The blues cats and the reggae cats, all those cats, we get regulated to a different day now. Our part's not even televised, but that's all right. We're still there. The second day is the televised one. But I wasn't even gonna be able to be there. So if I'd have won, I couldn't even be there because we had signed a deal to be on the Blues Cruise. And it was the first time I've come to the Blues Cruise with my band. I had done the Blues Cruise a couple times, but not with my band. First time I was going on with my band. And so everybody was like, man, you going to the Grammys? And I'm like, no, man, I'm on the cruise, man. And so, Roger brought me on the cruise, and we here and he's treating us right, he's paying me right. I said, you know, it took me years to get the band here. You know, I said, it's up for the band. These guys think they get to go to the Caribbean for 7 days, expenses paid, and play music. That'd be messed up for me to like spend $5,000 to go to the Grammys, and they sitting at home making no money on top of that. You know, right. I said, no, I'm not gonna, I'm not, you know, I'm old school. I said, I'm not gonna do that to the band. I said, plus, I'm gonna lose $5,000 or more for the days I have to lose, and I'm not gonna win. So you want me to pay this money to go be at a party?
Yeah, that math don't add up.
And somebody said, well, you never know if you're gonna win or not. I say, look, bro. Look, bro.
What was like being at the Grammys? Like, what did you? Was it anything that you most remember about it? I mean, that feeling and just being there.
I didn't go.
Oh, okay. I didn't go.
I was in the middle of the Caribbean Ocean.
Oh, okay.
But I've been to the Grammys before because my horn player, Big Al Walker, his son is has been the vice president of BET for 15 years. So Pam and I went to the Grammys some years before that and had our own box with the butler, the whole nine, the bottle of champagne there, you know, and I hung around that. You know, we enjoyed that. You know, we didn't realize we got so drunk that Pam and I we walked by the goodie bag. You know, you get those goodie bags. Yeah. Thousands and thousands of dollars a piece. We were so drunk, we walked right by and didn't even take it.
You probably got a chance to meet a lot of musicians when you went to the Grammys that time.
Yeah, but you know, most of the cats that were there, I'd already known from back when I ran. You know, I used to run the top pro jam in LA for many years. That's how I got my luck in LA. So I already knew Slash, I already knew Lukather and all those guys because they used to come down to the jam. You know, Mike Finnegan, Gary Malaber. I mean, you start throwing names out there. I used to run the top jam, blues jam, pro jam in LA. And I did that for years with my friend Chuck Boris. And so I most of those guys, you know, the people like Pink and Lady Gaga that were there that night, Tony Bennett, I didn't get to meet them. You weren't going to get to meet them. I mean, I guess I could have went out to the red carpet, but I hung out. Pam and I went to the after party, one of the after parties, and hung out at the after party, and that was cool. And it was just good to actually have been able to be on the ground to go there. Now, as far as my own Grammy, you know, like I said, I was out in the middle of the ocean, so my record company producer went in my stead, and that was good for him because, you know, he'd been doing this for a while, and you know, he wrote these songs and helped mold this album and put this together. So, you know, like, if I'm not gonna go, at least he got to go. And I just saw a picture the other day, him and his wife. You know, he bought a new tux and a new hat, bought himself a new Stetson and everything, and he took his wife. And I thought that's really cool. That's really cool. So.
Yeah.
Tell us about your new project, man. Your new album that's gonna be coming out. You got a release, you got a title. You know, can we get some type of information on?
Right now the title is supposedly Misinformation, and you know, I think the record company is talking about dropping it in January. You know, we were thinking about trying to do it at the beginning of this year, but the COVID made everything so difficult to be in the studio to try to blah blah blah, and so. We finally got it all done. I think he's got a couple of little things he wants to do, a couple places he wants to add strings, but it's been mixed now and get ready to go to mastering. So he'll probably wind up dropping a single or two here. I'm thinking probably, you know, August, September, October, somewhere in there. But the album is slated to come out in January. Misinformation.
How many tracks?
10 tracks.
Okay.
10 tracks, all original stuff. This time I co-wrote on a couple of them, so that was cool. And I think everybody's gonna like it because it's definitely funky and soulful. So, you know, I think you're gonna dig it. Think you're gonna dig it.
I already know. Can't wait. We're looking out for that. So possibly January.
Yeah, possibly January. Yeah. I'll let you know for sure once they actually lock down a date. But right now, January is what's been knocking around.
Okay, what about your merch, man? You got a website for your merch? Well, we're gonna get to that in a minute. We're gonna get to that in a minute.
Okay.
The Sugar Shack. Talk about that.
Well, you know, stuck at the crib, man. Stuck at the crib. I sit there like, what can I do for the community and what can I do for my own self? I miss everybody, don't see nobody. And everybody was doing all the Zoom and all this stuff. And I said, well, you know, I know a million cats, man. I know a million cats from the biggest names to just everyday Joes. How about I do a show? And not even really a show. People say, oh, it's an interview. I said, no, it's not even really an interview. I said, I wanted to do somewhere it was just musicians talking to each other like we normally would talk without trying to be all political, just talking, and then allowing the people to be able to see what we talk about. So it's almost like the Jerry Seinfeld is a show about nothing, but it's really cool because we just talk about everything, whatever.
Everything.
Everything. Matter of fact, Kenny Neal is going to be on the show this Tuesday, and I'll let you guys know. He said at the end of the show, he's going to ride off in the sunset on his mule. So I want to see that.
Yeah, that's right. He live on the farm, right?
Yeah. We just have a good time doing. So that's what came up here. I mean, we've done 50 shows now. We've had everybody from. I've had Jimmy Vivino. I've had Mike Finnegan. I had Bernard Purdy. I've had Walter Trout. I've had Felicia Fields. I've had actors. I've had doctors. I've had we've had everybody. So
have you had also musicians too, like that came on?
Yeah, like I said, Bernard Purdy, the most recorded drummer of all time. Mike Finnegan, Bob Cortor was the very first one. Jimmy Vivino, Cal David, Walter Trout, Diana Greenleaf, Shakura Saida, Kiri Odabi. Like I said, it's been like 50 different people, but you can catch that. It's archived on Facebook, but the best way to go see it is that on the YouTube was digital and not what you call it. So my YouTube channel at the Sugaray Rayford is the best way to go see that one.
Absolutely. What would your recommendation be for somebody that wants to be a musician, specifically blues? That's maybe younger, wants to get into this genre. What would your recommendation be to someone that's wants to make a career in the blues and or as a musician?
Well, the first thing is invest in yourself. And what I mean by that, you're going to spend a lot of money in this business. You're going to spend a lot of money before you make any money. Invest in yourself because that comes back and pays itself multi dividends in the end. Be honest with yourself as well as with others, and let your word be bond. And then the second thing is know your numbers and really know your business. As well as you can play an instrument, you need to know your business that well because as I tell people all the time, the biggest thing in this is called music business. And you need to know your business so that you're not screwed and you don't accidentally screw over someone else. And there's a lot of business in here. And so, do that, make great music, and work your butt off. I booked myself, or my wife booked me for almost 18 years. We learned how to do this from the ground up. And in this industry, you don't need an agent, you don't need a booking agent, you don't need a manager, or you won't get those usually until you don't need them.
Exactly.
So, but at the same time, when you like me, when it got to a point where you'll get to a point in the business, if you work hard enough, you'll get to a point in the business where you have to go get a manager and an agent and give up those percentages because you're actually losing money now. Because there's so much business that you can't do it all. When you get to that point, that's when it's time to start thinking about getting a manager or a booking agent or something like that. But know your business. Know your business. They have business for dummies. The music business is a business, but it's different from a lot. There's a lot of ways you can make money, and there's a lot of ways money can be taken from you that you don't even know. So it's crazy. But it's and be real.
Yeah. How would you say, like, for a musician, I know there's a lot of it for, managing time, being on in tours or in the studios and being the family. What would you say the biggest key is to getting it all to come together, family time in the tours, time in the, what was the key for you to be able to kind of do all that and be able to, wear multiple different hats,
I would tell you right now that if you met your girlfriend while you was doing music, or you met your wife while you was doing music, you're probably going to lose your wife. And that's sad to say that because in the beginning of this, your first 2 or 3 years, if you're really serious about this, especially when the world comes back, you won't be home.
Yeah,
you just won't be home. Yeah. No easy way for me to put that, and that may sound really discouraging. My wife is the one that pushed me into music, and when I met her, I wasn't doing music, and she is an unbelievable business person, and she took over. Some years later, we decided to just let her take over the business side because she's really, really good with business. And she understood, but you have to know the difference was she pushed me into where I am. I've known a lot of families to break up over this because you weren't doing this when you guys met, or you were doing this when you guys met. And a lot of people get into these relationships, and the woman, or even sometimes the other side is the man, but most of the time it's men that's in this. They feel that they can change you, and the more and more you get in this business, the more and more your name grows, the more and more you're sought after, the more and more you're going to play, the more and more you're going to travel, and it winds up being a bad situation. But you know, you can do it. It's going to be hard. It's like no other business. And go back to what I said a few minutes ago. You got to invest in yourself, and that's not necessarily monetarily, but mentally and physically. And you know, in your first years of doing this, you will have no control over whether or not you're going to be with your family or not. It's not until you get to a certain position of name, notoriety, that you can kind of control your career.
Right.
Yeah.
Making sense? Yeah. I mean, I'm at a point now, like,
you can pick and choose what you want to do right now. At the beginning, you can't turn down shit.
No, and I've been in the game 20 years. I mean, I just got to the point right before COVID where I was able to look at my booking agencies and say, this is what I want to do. I'll go out 2 weeks, I come home a week.
You can manage your own schedule.
If it's something really, really good, we'll stay out 3 weeks, but we're coming home a week. But I'm not going to be out for 4 months. I'm not going to go do 24 shows in 28 days in 16 states, you know. Yeah, but in the beginning and for a long time, you can't, just like they just said, you can't turn it down. You get a booking, you can't go do that. And you know, it's 7 pieces of us. So you imagine someone who's got 3-piece band, you know, if it's hard for them, imagine what it's been like for me.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Oh yeah.
You know, and then you know it's you know, everything changed. When I came in, I could fly overseas for $700 at the end, per ticket. At the end, your tickets were running me anywhere from $1,900 to $3,000 per ticket. So you think about it. I'm going overseas to play somebody's festival. Before I even get there, I spent at least $21,000 in airline tickets.
Well,
but you want me to come play for you, and you only gonna pay me $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Let's just say if there was $2,000. Okay, cost me. This is one reason why I don't play Australia that often. It's like, okay, tickets are $2,000. Okay, tickets are $2,000. We want you to come play, Sugar. I'm like, I want to be there. The tickets right there, the cheapest tickets I get is $2,000. He said, well, we can pay you $18,000. I got to tell him I can't come. Why? Right now, as it stands, it's gonna cost me $14,000 just to get on the plane.
Right.
So we have a $4,000 profit at the end, then maybe.
No.
We
haven't even talked about food.
Okay, I'm only going on that level. Okay.
All this about land. We haven't talked about transportation. We haven't talked about sleeping arrangements. We haven't talked about food. We haven't talked about a per diem for the guys.
Right. Yeah. They pay, you know, all that stuff.
We haven't even talked about their pay yet.
Right.
So you see what I'm saying? So
that's where you have to think about all those things that come in. I mean, like you said, you love to play, but when it comes to the finances and the financially, there's a whole big part of that.
That was the reason why, for me, this is the reason why I was playing a lot of shows. So I would get an anchor date, you know, this festival, something that's paying me $12,000. At that time, you know, I think the most I had booked myself was like $20,000. But then I was playing, and we were driving to save money, because we could save a little bit of money driving. We were doubling up on hotel rooms, you know, 2 guys at a Motel 6 instead of, you know, 8 rooms at the Marriott. I was foregoing having a road manager with me or another driver. So not only was I doing all the road managing and the day-to-day and all that, I was also driving and doing the show and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I've been doing that for 20 years, and it's to save money so my guys can make a little money so I can make a little money. But most of my guys, and I always figured that if I broke even, if I didn't go in the hole, I was good. I mean, I paid my guys, and I'm invested in myself. Sure. And I'm able to show up with my full band and give the best show I can give, so that in the hopes of them seeing that, they want to book me again another time, and I'm gonna raise it up a little bit. And you keep doing that, but then you wind up booking a couple club dates on the way. So if I'm playing in Columbus, Ohio, So I'll probably stop at the Rhythm Room and play a show. Then I'll stop at somewhere in New Mexico, maybe Albuquerque or blah 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 blah, and you play a couple dates, and those are what we call gas and hotel money. That money isn't going to the band. That money is going into gas for the vehicle and the money for the hotels. Okay. Now, then you start having a problem for me that started coming up about 5 years ago. As your name starts to grow a little bit, you get radius clauses. You know what those are?
Say it one more time, Sugar.
As your name starts to grow a little bit and festivals start paying you just a little bit more, they start putting radius clauses in your contract.
Yeah, that you can't play in the same club in the same city.
No, yeah, you wish the same city. I mean, a lot of mine were 100, 150 miles. Sometimes the same state, depending on where the venue was. But usually 100 to 150 miles, 360 degrees, 3 to 6 weeks before.
Yeah, that sucks ass.
Yes, it does. and so that's also why a headline act or somebody we got to ask for a little bit more. But not only are you trying to do this, but you tell me I can't even make money.
Right.
Or I'm in breach of contract.
Yeah.
I guess
that's something else right there.
So it's just a game. You'll learn to play the game.
Yeah, is it? I guess when you talk about these things, I mean, as music fans, I mean, fans hear the music and enjoy the music, but I get what you're saying is there's the music part of it, performing, and there's the business side of it, and there's a whole part of it that as music fans, you're only here. I mean, fans will hear the music, but there's a whole part of it that has to happen for everything to work out.
My only joy is that 60 minutes to 90 minutes I'm on the stage. But what you as a fan, what I would like you to know is sometimes that 60 or 90 minutes, it took literally 6 months of negotiations
to get it done.
And
now, would you say that's common for even any musician for really any genre? It could be the same.
I probably think so.
No matter who they are, no matter what their status is as a musician.
Once and then there's a lot of times you play in the show and I'm trying to give you my heart and soul. Yeah. And what I really want to do is go over there and choke that promoter. But I've been fighting this guy for an extra hotel room, which is only $80-$90. But I've been fighting him for 6 months for an extra hotel room for one of my guys, so the guys didn't have to. It's crazy. So now I'm at a point where I have one of the top managers, I have one top booking agents, but I pay for that. But now I don't have to deal with that. Now I can freely just go out and be Sugar Ray.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess it's
one headache gone.
Huh?
One headache gone.
Yeah. That's
so
it.
Tell us about your website, your merch. Where we can find you at, where your music at.
Well, music-wise, we on all the platforms, Sony Music. We on Spotify and all that stuff. You can find me, Sugaray Rayford. My website, SugarayRayford.com. Sugaray with one R. At Twitter, I'm at Sugaray Rayford. Facebook is at the Sugaray Rayford. Instagram is at Sugaray Rayford, and YouTube is Sugaray Rayford. So it's all Sugaray, Sugaray, not double R's, just one R and one word.
Ray Rayford, everything. But listen, we appreciate you coming on. And if anybody out there never seen this show, check him out. It's high energy. I always said, man, hell, you can do a high energy show with some spoons. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna make it happen. You know what I'm saying? 6'5", 300 pounds, dancing across the stage, jumping into the audience, sweating everywhere, and he don't even need a microphone. Believe me when I tell you that. One hell of a show and a great performer and a great man. I appreciate you being on our show, brother.
Absolutely.
David, Daniel, I appreciate you guys.
All right. I'm Dave Yanni Riley.
I'm Dan Ligori.
And it's been a Blues Fanatics show. Thank you.
Peace, baby. Right on, man. Dang. Right on. Sorry, I get a little long-winded, dog.
Oh no, man, it was great. It was great, man. It was great.
But I wanted to give the truth because the young cats always asking me that. They always ask me that question, Daniel. Like, what can I do to? How can I'm like? Listen, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you just want to go ahead and play guitar or something and not worry about it, you're great. If you want to do something in this, you got to know your numbers. You got to really know this business.
I mean,
there's a lot of people trying to get off on
for the money. Don't get in for the money and fame. When you first start, don't look for money and fame.
No, don't.
Say don't.
Yeah.
Get into it, and because you love it. Because them first few years when don't nobody know who you are.
Yeah.
You know, you'll later look back and like when you're doing it, you're like, this shit is tough. You'll later look back and be like, man, that was the best time I had.
Right.
Because now you got to the point where I got, not only do I have to feed the band, but I got expectations. You know, people have expectations and blah, 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 blah. It's all this stuff, you know. But yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. The politics and the business side is crazy as a mother.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and this I always tell people, you think there's politics in Washington? Politics and music is a mother.
They thieves, man. And especially when you do these clubs, they always, we didn't make some, like, dude, this place is packed. Never had before, man. Get out of here, man. Pay my money.
But that's why the old guys carried their pistol. And that's why I still take one cue from the old guys. I always there's always an eighth guy with me, or eighth girl with me. And when I do club dates, I drop them off early. So people don't even know they with the band. They counting the dope.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. So they won't get over. I mean, I remember, like I said, I've been doing it for about 27 years. My old man been doing it for way over 50. And you know what I'm saying? And the 27 years I've done, man, I didn't have to beat up like 6 people, choke like 10. You know what I'm saying? Just over.
But the audience have no idea that.
They don't got no idea that.
They think it's just jokes.
Mm-hmm.
But man, but Coco, I had heard stories. I played with Coco. I always forget about that. I played with Coco one of her last shows out there. Was it not Sacramento, but somewhere out that way? We did some festival. Dude wound up screwing me over. I had to take him to court, put a lien on his house and everything. Motherfucker had even somehow or another got my credit card and paid for all the different bands' hotel rooms.
Oh wow!
Who was it that did that? Was it a fan? Who was it?
No, it was the guy that was running the festival.
Oh, the guy that
not only did he not pay me, he somehow or another got the hotel to use my credit card. Because you know, back then you used to have to use a credit card for incidentals. Somehow or another, he had gotten the hotel to use my credit card to pay for all 30 rooms. Wow. Yeah. Wow. But when I saw Coco, we did that show, and I saw him hand Coco a brown bag before she walked on stage. She walked on stage. They paid about 25 minutes. The band went into a holding pattern, like, playing this little jam. She walked off the stage. Like, I thought maybe like it was, she gonna go change clothes or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, David, the band went to one of them. And she walks off stage, and she's standing there, and the band's playing. This goes on for about 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm sitting backstage. I'm like, okay, this is getting weird. And about 7 minutes in, when people are out front clapping like this, like getting built up, old boy shows up with another brown bag, hands it to Coco. Coco hands it to some dude. You probably would know him, because he was with her a long time, but she has the bag to some dude next to him. He looked at the bag, he looked at Coco, nodded her head, and then she walked back on stage and finished the show. I found out later that she got half of her money up front, and she walked on stage and did half the show. And then if the guy didn't bring the rest of her money, then that's the show he got.
Yeah.
Then he came up with the bag with the rest of her money. When she realized she got the rest of her money in cash, she walked out and finished the show.
Wow. Yeah.
And I found out later that, when I was talking to Lazy Lesson, like, yeah, they did that because people were notorious for not paying them. Oh. They put on a full show, and you're looking for the guy, he gone. I wound up having to take the cat to court. But I've been real lucky. In all the years I've done this, I've only had 2 cats that I've had to get at. So that cat, there was a cat in LA for the NBA All-Star weekend that we did, and that was the first time I thought we was gonna have to cut in the blows. But once he realized I wasn't bullshitting, that I was gonna get my money one way or the other. I finally got it took 2 weeks, but I finally got my money. But it was like, I was like, okay, all right, I see how it is.
Right.
It really is that way. You think in the modern day it's not, but it is. So my system.
You got to be careful because you just never know who you're dealing with.
Well, my system there is set up where it's direct deposit. So you're gonna pay me 50% of direct deposit a week, 2 weeks before the show,
Okay.
I'm sorry, not even before the show. When we signed the contract, we have a 50-50 contract.
Yeah.
We signed the contract and sent it to you. But when that contract is signed, half of the money is deposited right then and there at the beginning of the signed contract. And that's non-refundable because it's an act of God or whatever. If I cancel the show, I'll get that money back to you. Any other situation, that's my money because I put that time aside and I've held that date for you and I've passed up other shows that I could have done on that date. So that money goes to pay for that. And then the rest of it is
with the COVID right now, I guess there's a lot of that going on because of some with the performances.
Yeah, but what we've done with COVID, what we did last year, I had 181 shows. Out of those 181 shows, I gave back 4 deposits, and the rest of them didn't actually cancel. Everybody was trying to move dates. So we've been doing hopscotch, like they've been moving the dates back to 6 months. They moved the date back to 6 months, because they still want to have the festival. And out of those, we've had about 15 that the festivals just won't ever happen again. Yeah. But the rest of them are still booked for like 2022 and 2021.
Well, if somebody doesn't pay you, you have to actually take them into courts if they like. Let's say
sometimes.
Well, between you and me, like when I play now, I'm for a festival. For me, I'm and this between us. This between us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm in the $25,000 to $50,000 range. So it ain't no chump change. It ain't a lot of money, but it ain't no chump change. Right. So I could have booked 4 different shows on that date and got my money. So if you're not gonna pay me, it's enough for me to take you to court. Right. And I got contracts. I don't play we don't play a show. My wife and I learned the hard way. We don't play a show without a contract.
See, you're at the point, like I say, you everything you doing is with contracts, So,
yeah.
Like I say,
you
gotta bust heads every now and then.
even if it's a club date, because I got to carry insurance and all this other stuff too. So it's like when I was first coming up, it wasn't such a big deal. I mean, you make $500,000-$600,000 is like, okay, well. Most of that went to the band. I pay my guys $250-$300 a show, regardless. That way they know what they're making for the month, so they can get their bills together. But it's like, I had a guy overseas. Matter of fact, Buddy played for him the last show. One of Buddy's last shows for this cat overseas in Denmark, and this cat didn't pay me.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we talking about 70 G's. He didn't pay me.
Yeah,
this was Denmark.
Watch out for these cats, man.
But he knew that I was in a position to totally ruin him, and I was real nice about it. I just say, man, look, because everybody and this is one of those ones. Pam and I, this is like one of those ones. Pam and I regret it because we listen to everybody because everybody knows him. This cat's been around a long time, And I went into this particular show without a contract, and I did it because I was already in Europe. Playing 100 shows, and this was just an extra little pop before we went home. It would have been an extra little boost for me to give the cats and for myself. No big deal. We were offered them 4 days anyway. Didn't pay me. But I told him, I said, man, if I don't get my money, I don't do this. I said, I'm a man of my word. Cats know me. I'm a man of my word, and I keep that. And I said, people know that I don't talk bad about people. I don't do that shit. That ain't my thing. I say, so if I put the word out on you, you'll never get nobody else to play at this festival. I guarantee you that. I said, you're in Denmark, ain't much I can do to you. Right. But I'll make sure that everybody in the blues world, at least, know who you are. And I said, I'll do that to my dying day. And finally, it took him a year. He showed up at 4 different festivals with wads of cash to hand to me. And the last one was in Norway at Notodden. He showed up. And he would always do it smart. When I was in BMA's Bill Street 2018, when I won Soul Blues, he showed up there, gave me money and doing a tribute for Bobby Bland with Bobby Bland's wife and your boy Ledbetter, me Ledbetter, Jennifer Magnus, Rob Bland. And he would always show up at places where he knew I couldn't make a scene. He would just show up at these places where it's like hundreds of people around. So this time in no time, I'm in the middle of Oh, he's smart. I'm in the middle of an interview. I got the camera on me and everything. And he shows up at the tent, and I'm smiling and,
Did you have a contract signed with the guy or?
No, it was one of the few times I didn't sign a contract because I was already on tour. See, I was already on tour. And this was one of them shows where he called up at the last minute. And, we were offered them 4 or 5 days because it was at the end of our tour. Yeah. And so we're like, whatever. You don't even got to pay hotel rooms. We're already here. We'll come in and do the show. And blah, 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 blah,
Why
blah,
not
blah.
Extra change?
Exactly. That's what I say. All money ain't good money. But I did vet the guy. I mean, I talked to many cats that played for him. And we talking about big name cats from BB. I mean, this last one, it was him. It was Buddy, Kelp, Mo, and somebody. And the time that I played was me, Rick Estrin, Sugaray Rayford, Zach Harmon. Because Zach didn't get paid either. Rick Estrin didn't get paid. He brought in a bunch of people, man. Marquise Knox. It was like 10, 12 acts.
Is this common to happen, like in not only blues but all genres, where these things do happen and they go on? I mean,
back in the day, it was really common. Today, though, with the world being so small and with the internet and where it can get out so fast, you don't hear about it all so much. Back in the day when everything was just paper, it was easy for these guys to do stuff like that or to short you, you know. Yeah. But you don't see that
you
now.
think that maybe like bands like the Rolling Stones or some of these big may have went through something like this at one point that no one knows?
Oh, I know they did.
They probably didn't. Just nobody ever knows about it, but they probably went through it somewhere along the line.
Oh, you don't tell anybody about it because it looks bad on you in a way.
But I'm sure every big band has went through this at some point. You know?
Oh yeah, I think everybody from every level has gone through it. Yeah.
I guess it's just a matter of just there's no way around. I mean, you just don't know.
Crooked people.
Yeah.
Crooked people.
Yeah.
And you got to remember that up until recently, the music business pretty much always been a cash business. So anytime you're dealing with cash business, you know, it's hard to have checks and balances with cash because.
So now, like, if you have contracts, they can't go anywhere. Like, once you have a contract and they try to play that game, you always have that contract to go back to. If somebody does that,
yeah, but you got to make sure the contract is right. You know,
you still have to hire a lawyer too, or to take him to court.
Yeah, I have a entertainment attorney because it's not like a regular attorney. Because a regular lawyer that does criminal war, he would be totally lost and beat to death. Yeah. Because entertainment is.
There's some of these people that when they do these things that you don't have the slightest idea, they act totally fine, and it just you wouldn't know. You would never know that they'd be doing that.
You would never know. You would never know.
They would act like really legitimate, but you just really don't know what they're about afterwards. Yeah.
Unless they've done it to someone that you know in the past, and so musicians, we always talk to each other.
Yeah.
You know, bands talk to each other. So if you got a reputation of shorting people or not paying people, the word get around.
Did they ever give like a reason why they ever did that? Or they would ever come up and say like why this is what went on? Yeah. You know.
But in the club days they did, but like on the festivals, somebody owe you that kind of money? No, they just vanish. Money.
They would never have an explanation and just run off. Yeah. No. How about the guy in Denmark? Did he ever say like what his reasoning was, or
no?
He never came up with anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't care what his reasonings were.
Yeah. I guess a lot of
I heard that he actually had mortgaged his house to pay people something. It's like he had booked this huge venue and all these headline acts to play this show. You know, this is why you need corporate sponsors or cities to sponsor. It costs money.
Yeah, so to get through all that, yeah. So I guess, but now it's like musicians are more aware of these things happening. So I guess right now it'd be a lot harder for someone to get away with that now at this point, or it still could happen.
Depending on where you are, dude. I mean, in the States, it's a little harder because if you're an American musician, you have a legal system to really help you fight. But unless you're a big name act, once you're outside this country, you're outside of this country.
When do they actually get paid their money? Like, let's say if the Rolling Stones play in a big stadium venue, when do they actually get paid for that show? Is it right after, or is it a little bit after at the end when they actually get paid for that show?
Probably in the old days, it was they probably did like mine, the 50-50, where they got paid half before the show at some point and then half after the show. I still have a rule that I don't leave a venue until I got my money. But now, because the way the laws have changed, so like when I'm overseas, it used to be great because overseas, they used to just pay me cash,
right?
And I was fine with that.
It'd have to still pay you in American money in the overseas.
Oh, it got to be. Oh yeah. Well, not necessarily.
It all depends on where you're at.
Some of them they give you
because the euros and the pounds in France is a lot more than that.
You got to remember. See, this is the other complicated part. I started playing overseas. My big shows were overseas before they were in the States. So, like, I was telling you about how things happen. But when I joined the Kids Boys, we went to France once. But by the time I joined the next couple of bands, I was pretty much overseas. That's why even in the States, I'm still sort of the new guy to some people. You know, even though I've been around a long time. Overseas, the venues I play, I'm huge. You know, I'm headlining shows like me. I did one not too long ago, me, Johnny Lane, Tedeschi Trucks, and Kenny Wayne Shepherd. But I was the headliner that Saturday night. You know, because I've been playing over there a long time. I built up a hell of an audience in 20 years. The last few years, I've been putting more in the States and trying to build my name up in the States. Hence, I wound up finally winning the BMA, finally winning a Grammy, or being nominated for a Grammy, and blah, blah. It's a game of numbers. But so when I first started playing in Europe to say all that, you got to remember, this was before the fucking Euro.
Yeah.
So I played 20 states. I played 20 different currencies. So I had to figure out whose currency was worth the more. What was the exchange rate when I did? I had to figure all that out.
Yeah.
And it was just me and the wife. We didn't have no
Right.
We didn't have the agency and all that here now. You know, I'd be getting francs. I'd be getting French francs in France, but Switzerland would pay me francs also, but it was Swiss francs. And then I get kroner out of Norway. I was getting marks out of Germany.
Yeah.
I was getting still getting yen out of Japan. But Italy, I was getting what did they call shit? Lira, and then Lithuania would pay. I mean, so it was the euro made it a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I still have to check every time when I sign a contract. I have to look at the.
They give you like statements when you have to like file your taxes. Like they give you statements or.
Well, that's why I was going with this. When I first started this, I get paid cash.
Yeah.
Right.
See, all that money would be cash.
Yeah.
So when I came back to the States, I never filed that shit.
You don't have to.
Because I don't have to. It's business. But after 9/11, and they started putting the World Bank on everybody, then all the countries that pay you had to pay you by check, and they had to pay you by direct deposit. So the government knows exactly how much money you're getting. This is where a lot of other musicians, when you've been seeing them going to jail recently or being kicked over by IRS, and you're like, well, they supposed to. I'm like, no, it's way more complicated than that. They don't even understand, especially at this level where they got a manager and a booking agency. They may not even know what the hell they got, because even though I'm giving the booking agency 10%, and the manager 10 or 15%, and then I'm getting the last 75% of that, I got to pay taxes on 100% of that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I got to pay the taxes on that 25% that was given away to the manager and the booking agency also for every show. It gets complicated, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But merch is always king because it's still a cash business.
and just in case somebody listen to me, I want to tell you what I average on merch. But yes, sir.
Yes.
And this is why you carry merch.
Yeah.
The very reason.
Merch.
Otherwise, it wouldn't even be worth, it's extra weight, extra suitcase. But hey, you know what? And now I'm in a position where even that's great, because now I'm in a position where I don't even have to. I used to always have to pay for 1 or 2 extra suitcases that would have merch in it. And every country's laws are a little different, but they would always just let you slide through. But now,
custom could be an ass about that, man.
Depending on where you are. I've had them where they, one time in Germany, they got me, opened up a suitcase, and I had to pay $3 per CD.
Yeah.
That I had in my suitcase.
Yeah.
$3 American money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
I had 300-400 CDs and vinyl. Hey, I was on a month tour. I had 12 festivals to play, so I would have sold all that anyway. But it gets so now because of the 9/11 laws and all that, the money has to be direct deposited. Now, in some ways, that's better because you're getting your money.
Right.
But in a lot of ways, it's now the government knows exactly what you're getting paid, even when you're out of the country.
Right.
So there's no,
which you shouldn't have to pay money from, you shouldn't have to pay taxes on money that you made outside the country. But then again, the big corporate companies somehow doesn't have a loophole behind that.
Yeah.
But us regular Joes, you want to tax me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. and it's all supposedly this is the safety of America. Well, we need to know where you're making that money. I'm like, do I have any terrorist or felony charges on my somewhere that I don't know about? Then why do you me as an American citizen? Why do you need to be monitoring me through my money?
Right.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. That's a
But they say, well, we didn't know where the terrorists are making their money. But the terrorists ain't making their money off of us playing music, bro. That's full of crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the game.
Let's say you want your cut, man. Leave me alone.
just be honest about it. Just be honest about it. That's what it is. Right. But then you have a few countries that say fuck America's banking system, and they'll still pay you cash on the table because they don't have those deals. So like when I'm in Romania or Poland, sometimes they still pay me cash because they don't have that deal. But if I'm in Germany, France, London, into that Westpac in there and there like that, they go every penny.
But I found
every penny.
For the last 6 or 7 years, like I say, the festival circuit, they definitely been paying checks, but the clubs, they still paying us out cash and all that. And like I say, we have started getting creative with the merch we take over there. So we come back with a big chunk of change in euros and francs and all of that stuff and cash them into the bank out here in the States. And you like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I used to go to the place in LA, it's the World Trade Center. That guy used to get, because first it was kind of high, but because I was traveling so much and coming so often, he started giving me the bro deal of the exchange. Well, yeah, I mean, I was, my God, every 2 3 weeks I come back in with,
right.
He'd be like, man, I'm like, yeah, and so he started giving me the bro deal. Well, then once I went over to Chase, they just treated me because of my account. I have a military account and blah blah blah. They gave me what he was giving me on bro deal. They started giving me from day one.
Right, Chase. If you've been with Chase for a while, they'll give you, because the dollar fluctuates up and down on what it's worth.
Yes.
They'll give you that most amount. Ain't no we gonna round it down and all of that and do all that. No, they're gonna give you what it's worth, and it's like, man.
And so far, every money I've ever brought back, they've taken. Now I haven't brought back like pesos or something like that, or I didn't bring back rubles because when I did India, we had them pay us in American cash.
Yeah,
but
pesos and rubles, you'll mess around all the bank money. You don't want to get
that's what, and that's one reason why I haven't gone play Germany. I mean, I got 2 offers here recently. It's like they just can't. I mean, not Germany or Russia. They just don't. For me, they're not paying me enough yet. I don't have a big enough name. And I have to decide if I want to take a loss to go in and build my name in Russia, because sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you go to play a show where you're at a loss because people don't know who you are. The promoters know who you are. Right. The promoters know that if they get you there, the people will love you. The question is, you have like, I'm gonna take a loss on this one and take a gamble again, but that's investing in yourself. So right now, my desire to go to Russia hasn't been there. So I turned them down. But yeah, Daniel, it used to be really bad, man. It used to be all kind of monies, and you trying to figure out, is the dollar higher or is the franc higher? Is the dollar higher or is the mark higher?
Right.
On top of everything else.
Well, like I said, you always know that the euro and the franc is higher than the American dollar.
Not always. 4 years ago, it kicked us in the ass. It wasn't.
It wasn't?
It was something that happened. It was about 4 years ago when the dollar was kicking the euro and the mark's ass.
What?
I mean, the euro and the pound's ass. The pound is always the fucking highest.
It's always the highest, yeah. Yeah.
But there was like 4 years ago where the dollar was kicking the pound's ass and the euro's ass.
Wow.
Yeah. And we had did deals in euro and pound, and we wasn't losing that much, a few thousand, but we were trying to change it.
Like, only thing about that, if you can hold on to it for about 2 months, and guess what? It's gonna be over the dollar.
It's gonna be over them kids, yeah. But a lot of times though, it's like it's going right to the bank for me, and then it's going to pay the cat. Going to pay the cats, It's like, so the game. It's see. I think that if you got into it on the other side, this is why you got to understand. Cats that play music really love it, because a lot of people always talk shit, and talk stuff. But they have no idea what you're going through.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be beyond a businessman. I mean, you running a band, so you got people that you taking care of. You got to help people like me now. I'm at a point where not only I got people I take care of, but not only that, now they got to watch what they do off the stage, because everything they do reflects on me. Right. They're not gonna say, "Oh, Lavelle John was drunk and beat up this guy." They're gonna say Sugaray's drummer got into an altercation and such. So it's a weird place to be in.
Yeah.
Weird spot to be in. And so the biggest thing, and I didn't say that earlier, but the biggest thing when you putting a band together and you got to go out and really tour is even more so than playing. Because I've turned down cats that I play cats. They personality, how good it is to hang with them. We got to remember, you're going to be in cooped up areas sometimes for days on end. If you don't like a mother, or he one of them people that's hard to get along with, blah, blah, blah. See, and we have this saying that sometimes your problem outweigh your playing. And so some cats that can really play, but they got some problems that's going to be like, I ain't gonna be bailing you out of every jail or every country we go to, and blah blah blah. It's a lot involved. So picking a band is a serious thing because you're gonna be with them more than you with your family. So you got to make sure that you with cats that you like and that you can freaking get along with, not just that they can play. You hopefully you get cats that can really play and pretty cool to get along with. That you ain't gonna be trying to knock each other the fuck. I've seen bands, and I don't know if you've seen this, David, but I've seen bands. And I ain't gonna name names. I've seen some big name bands and little name bands, full on knockdown brawls, guitars flying through the air on stage.
Yeah. I've seen that too. Quite a few.
And so, once you get to a certain level, you can never go. That happened on a festival or something. You can never go back. Not only that,
you done.
All these festival guys talk to each other. That's how they know how to pay you.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing you have to fight.
Yeah.
When Sugaray charging me $10,000. What you got paying? Well, we only paid them $5,500. They talk.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like I say, once you get in the circuit, you good. You know what I'm saying, in that circle. But if you fuck up that circle and break a link, you're done. You're done. Like I say, I know cats, like I say, bands that be fighting, and you got crazy band, like a lot of bands from Chicago is straight street guys.
Yeah.
Finally get their passport and end up going overseas. I'm like, listen, you can't do that stuff you do here over there. Because most of the time you playing, they shut down at 10 o'clock. Ain't nobody on the streets. Yeah. You want to go outside and smoke and drink, they will lock your ass.
The only country I know you can do that in after 10 o'clock is Italy and Spain. That's because the festivals don't even start at fucking midnight. First band don't even walk on the stage to midnight, and that's just the way they do things. Spain and Italy. Other than that, you in France, Germany. Germany is strict as shit, but a lot of countries, like he just said, the festival's done at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. There's nobody on the street. Believe me, I know, because I'm usually sitting right there on the steps of the hotel smoking my cigar.
Yeah, same with me. I was smoking my cigar, drinking me a little scotch. That's it.
Yep, ain't nobody on the street.
Nope, nobody.
Ain't a roll of carpets up in that bitch.
Nope.
Paris has a few places, but
play around out there.
No. and that's the thing too. The laws are so different. You got to be like, my guitar player. I think he should know by now. I let Gino go. I had already let him go one time. I came back, tried to give him another chance. I can't deal with all the weed and all that. It's one thing to smoke weed, but when you smoking weed every damn day, all day, when you're high all day,
it's
just problem. And he already had me locked up in Canada at the border. You know that, right? Behind his weed. Yeah, I mean, handcuffs sitting in the cell. I was just like, man, I went 50 years up in the deep south. I ain't been in handcuffs, and here I am. It's a handcuff behind your shit. And this is after I pulled over.
Canada do not play.
This is after I pulled over in Detroit and told you smoke up your shit and get rid of it because y'all know we're going across the border over in the Windsor.
Yeah,
and still, but there's still countries like. We have dates we do in Singapore. Now there's dates that we do in Hong Kong, which is now turned back on Chinese. Hong Kong, if you get caught, China, if you get caught with weed, it's life imprisonment. But in like Singapore and some of the islands, it's a death penalty, bro.
Wow,
man.
You understand? It ain't just you being locked the fuck up. It's actually the fucking death penalty. So you got to know these laws and shit that when you go. When I'm playing in like in Dubai or can't do Egypt or Turkey anymore, but I just love that. They have two laws. They have the regular law and then they have Sharia law, which is Muslim law. And you got to know all that.
Yeah.
Don't even know what you're doing. I mean, you ain't do nothing. You think, man, no, bro, that's against the law.
Hey, but my thing is, I don't care about that. I do the show, we sell the CD, we mingle a little bit, back to the room. Like I said, I got my cigar, my scotch, and I'm chilling.
See, you get to chill that way. See, a lot of times for me, where I'm at now, the show is over with. I done set up and I done shake it, like I always do.
Yeah.
Now, I got sponsors. Not as the mayor, I got to go to an after party.
Oh yeah, you got to make it.
Give an after
You
party.
the man. I'm just the bass player. Like I say, Pops and Bob, they got to go out and smile and all that. Hey, I see y'all back in the room.
And you just like my guy. And I tell them, I said, y'all got to make sure y'all being cool.
Yeah.
Because, they watching you. No, now it is what it is. You somewhere, we the only brothers in 10,000 miles. They already watching you anyway. So, you gotta, it ain't like if you do something, you're gonna get away. They know who did it.
Exactly.
They know where you at.
Exactly.
So
they know straight where to come.
But yeah, I can imagine the street cats, like in Chicago or Oak Cliff, where I grew up from, the Bronx or whatever, they ain't never really been out of the country. They don't realize the freedoms that they get away with here, the stuff that they do. Yeah. Like, you ain't know. Other countries don't tolerate that shit.
They really don't.
No.
They don't.
Like, you can't even,
you can't
even spit on the ground.
What is that? Singapore is that way. What is it? It's a $10,000 fine to walk and chew gum in public. and if they see you spitting on of all things, yeah. If they see you spitting up, look it up. Singapore, like it's against the law to be chewing gum in public, and they serious about it. And if you spit the gum on the ground, it's some years in prison.
Yeah, they don't play them games.
Little stuff. You like, what the hell? And then I had to learn.
You take for granted that you do second nature.
Yeah. Like I had to learn, like when I played quite a few Muslim countries, and then at one point we were going to do something in Israel, and they said, Israel would make sure they put a piece of paper in your passport, and they'll stamp the paper and not your passport. And I was like, nah, man, I've went through I've gone through 3 passports in the last few years. I was like, I love having all these different stamps, and they're like, yeah, but see, there's what did they tell me? Like, if you go to a Muslim country and you have an Israeli stamp in your passport, you go directly to jail.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, I didn't even know that. But the people in Israel, they know. So when they get your passport, they usually stamp just a blank piece of paper that you have to keep in your passport while you're in Israel.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. Yeah.
Crazy, but it's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Or it was the world we live in. We'll see how it is after COVID open back up. I got a feeling everything's just gonna go right back to where it was. But
yeah, Did it take you a lot of time to like get used to like having going from touring and doing all these things to a lot less going on now? Did it take you time mentally to get through that?
No, like I said, I was already, when all this went down, with my wife with the cancer and all that, but I had been touring so much nonstop, like Dave could tell you, that I was already, before COVID, I was actually mentally and physically burnt.
You were ready to take some time
off.
Yeah,
I was going to, and matter of fact, it was funny because I had already told the band, we came home that November. We finished the Blues Cruise that November. And I told them, I said, man, even before Pam was really diagnosed good, I told them, I said, man, I'm going to take some time off. I said, we need time off. I said, so we're not going to do anything until March. So we was off from November 15th, December, January, February. March 8th, we did a run up through the West Coast. So we did some stuff out there in the Napa Valley area. Then we went up to San Francisco. Then we went up to Portland, and we played Jazz Bones or what it was. And then we played Dimitri's Jazz Alley with us and what's the bass player name? Can't think of a great bass player. He's a front man. But anyway, him. And then that's about the time that the COVID thing hit Seattle real hard. Then we went up and played the show in Walla Walla, and they were starting to change the laws. And then we came home March 16th. And right after we got home back here, my wife was actually in the hospital. She had her first transfusion thing. And then I heard that they shut Seattle, which wound up being the Epic Center on the West Coast. We were just there. They shut that down. And I had booked anything up to March anyway until July maybe, because I needed a break. I was like, So when the COVID hit, I was like, well, at first I was like worried about everything for like about a week, and then I just settled down and said, man, this is great because I needed to be here for my wife while she goes through radiation and she had to do stem cell therapy and replacement and all that stuff. I needed to be here anyway, and mentally, I needed to be with her. And music wise, I was just burnt. I was burnt. I love what I do, but I was burnt. So no, it actually was pretty cool. And like I said, it's just been recent that I've got to a point where like, okay, I'm ready to go play somewhere, you know. But for a long time,
I think that you probably it's hard to say when you'll play again. Does it mean just
well, right now I actually have dates for July, August, and September. But I won't even go play those dates unless I actually get the vaccine and everybody in the band get the vaccine.
Yeah.
But being realistic, I got a feeling that other than really, there's a few people who just take it like there's people playing in Florida. They're playing in closed rooms and like my booking agent was saying that night. Like, yeah, we got a couple of closed rooms they want to get you, but it's like, you know, we put in all these new restrictions. He's like, some of these clubs have been open since 1940, so they don't have the ventilation to, you know, you got to think about it. A club that's built in.
Fuck that, man.
No.
Hey, stick to your guns, man. Stick to your guns.
No, I'm good. I don't have to. My agent, like my agent said, he said, my job is to bring this stuff to you, Ray, but it's up to you if you want to go play this stuff. He said, I advise you not to go do it. I'm like, I'm not doing it anyway. I said, but you know, it's his job to keep bringing me stuff. Like I said, I'm in a little different position now. See, then you got it right. Where mine at?
Like I say, I don't do nothing unless it's outside. I did a few shows and all that stuff, but I'm not doing nothing unless it's outside.
Yeah, because otherwise it ain't safe.
It ain't safe.
It ain't safe.
It ain't safe. And like I say, I done been through that COVID stuff personally with my old man, and I'm not going through that mess.
Well, having my wife and
I don't need the money.
No. Yeah, see, that's another thing too. See, you know, my wife has a really good job.
Right.
But I'm a grown man. I'm from the country. You do what you got to do. But I'm lucky. See, my wife took over my business probably about 14 years ago. And the reason why she took it, and I ain't going to, you know, like Fire Stan's been Johnny died, all them cats. I think you probably know those cats. Mm-hmm. Cats died without a penny in their pocket and a pot to piss in, as they used to say. And I used to tell Pam, I said, man, I don't want to end up like that. I don't want to do this for 60 years and don't have nothing to show for it. She said, well, let me take over the business, babe. And blah, 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 you know, and I'm like, well, you better at the business side. I mean, that's what you do. And, you know, so when this came about, we've been, even with her with the cancer, we've been fine because the money that I've made, she's always just put it away because just her check is enough to, you know, that was also one of the reasons why I left California and moved to Arizona. You know, the cost of living, everything was better.
Right.
And as long as I got a major airport that I can get in and out of, it don't matter.
Exactly. You good. You good.
So I'm good. And so we've been good. We still good.
Right.
You know, and I felt bad because I've seen people struggling really hard. And I'm just like, damn, you know. But that would, probably if I'd have been on my own, that'd have been me. Because I'd have been, you know, instead of driving I like my truck. I'm a truck guy. I bought a new in 2018, and my wife got a couple cars, but I just drive my truck. Mm. But you know, who knows what I would have bought? Because when you're a guy, sometimes you ain't
right.
Keeping up that. I got y'all on the big screen.
Yeah. But even with me, I got 9 cars, but all of them paid for. You know what I'm saying? I got the title. Only thing I got is my mortgage. You know what I'm saying on my house. And like
that's what we are now.
That I'm a saver, and I got my hands in so much other stuff. I actually have made more money in the pandemic than I made. You know what I'm saying? Previous.
Isn't that freaky?
That part.
Isn't that freaky? That part is freaky.
Yeah.
I can't believe some of the things. I'm just kind of like, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, after the Grammy nom and all this, like last year should have been like, my year's already been good because I work a lot, but last year should have been like just, you know, I should have been up in that.
It should take you over the top.
Yeah, not the Mariah Carey money, but. You know, you
was up echelons.
Yeah. Because that you know, the stuff that they were booking me, I was the other night looking at the contracts. I mean, I got contracts. Yeah. You know, this is what you get paid. I'm just sitting there like, damn. You know, and I had 100 shows like that. So because that was the other thing too. I told them, you know, 100 shows a year. That's it. You know, unless it's something crazy, you know, we'll do it. But because you get to a certain level where you play less, but you make more. And what I mean by that is you love what you're doing, but I'm getting older. So I can't, it's hard for me now to sing 10 days in a row the way I sing.
Right.
Because, and it's not fair to you if you're paying $50 to $80 a ticket and I come in there hoarse.
Right.
Now instead of doing 10, I do 3 or 4 shows in that same amount of time and make almost twice the money.
Right. You work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, work smarter, not harder. That's what they were telling me out there. But they gave me like, hey, Ray, we got to get you to work smarter, not harder. I said, I'm hey, whatever's clever. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of them cats. I work. Whatever is clever. They're like, well, we want you to be around a while because we want to make money off you too.
Right.
You know, it's a business.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They don't make money unless I make money. So if I'm laid up in the hospital, if I lose my voice, that's one less streaming income that they have. So,
right.
Damn, I ain't never been in this situation. The only person who ever had my back has been my wife.
Right. You definitely got you a thoroughbred there, man. Keep doing what y'all doing, man.
I'm glad.
That's why listen, I'm a saver. I'm not flashy, man. I save and I invest. I do a lot of different other things.
Most people are not savers.
Like you're not.
I'll save a little bit. I'll save a little bit. The funny thing is, because I didn't learn that way, but I taught my son that way.
Right.
Sorry, I keep looking at
I know. Same thing with my old man. He does. That's what he told me. He's like, man, save your money, put it into something that can.
Yeah, because we know how bad it gets. It's hard to break the habit.
Exactly, and I stuck with that.
But you know you don't want your child to go through that. So my son, you give him $50, 30 of that going in the bank. He'll make mess up there 20. But I used to always tell him, like, as a man, you should never be totally broke. You should never be blah, blah. And I'm like, I sit back and say, boy, I wish someone taught me that when I was his age. And he doing good. And his friends ask him, like, where you learn this? Where you learn that? And like, my old man. And I'm like, boy, I wish I'd have done this. So I have to fight myself. So what I know for me is this. If I don't see the money, I'm good.
Right. Right.
Because it's the way I've been. I never had anything. So your first thing is you want to get this and do this, that, nuts sometimes. So it's better for me not to even, and my wife know me. So it's better for me not to even see it. I know there's money in there because I can go buy my box of cigars when I want to. My card ain't turned down, blah, blah, blah. I got access. I can go look. I don't even want to look because I know me. So I'll save money. As long as it's not if it's in my pocket, dog, I'm one of them people like, burn a hole in your pocket. Yeah. I'm gonna buy stuff. Then I'll be sitting there looking at it like, how the fuck I buy this? I don't even need this shit. It's that what they call it, that spontaneous buying. And that's something that I have to overcome from childhood. So I learned the best way for her is, you know what? My wife is a saver. She is a saver. That's who she is. It's what she does. It's her thing. She ain't like most women. She just kind of, I had to go, she was driving that brand. We had bought her a brand new 2000 4Runner. She had drove that motherfucker into the ground, had been hit a couple times. She's still driving. I'm like, baby, I don't mind, but you work in Beverly Hills and you are my wife. And you do make this much a year.
Right.
You can't keep driving that piece of. I feel bad every time I come and see you driving it. So she finally I finally made her go buy something new, which happened. But yeah, so that's why I put it in her, out of sight, out of mind. And I always tell people a joke. You probably heard me say like on stage. I tell people, I don't know how much you're getting paid. Matter of fact, tell y'all how bad it is for me. I said, the check's not even in my name. And people laugh, but I do it as a joke. But in hindsight, I know it's the way I wanted it. It's the way I put it.
And that's
I don't want it in my hand.
Thing. That's a good thing. Yeah. That's a real good thing. Because it's especially with blues, it's a lot of blues musicians out there hurting, man.
Yeah. And see, people, it make it like people say like.
And it top guys.
And I'm more than just blues. I mean, I'm doing the blues and soul thing. But
yeah.
You meet them and people like, they ain't no money in the blues. And I look at people like, that's full of shit, bro. I said, a lot of these cats have made money for decades, but they've blown it. Yeah. Now they're 70 years old and living in an apartment instead of a house. Mm-hmm. And it ain't because they didn't make the money they couldn't have bought a house. They blew it.
They blew it, yeah. Yeah.
They blew it.
Yeah.
BB died and he still had $370 million in the bank. BB didn't buy shit. And that's after 4 ex-wives and 25 children.
Right. And moving to Vegas was smart because he ain't had to pay no taxes.
On the very smart, which is why a whole bunch of cats moved to Vegas. That's why Barry White was out there. That's why Red Fox was out. All them cats.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they was out there.
Yeah.
And you when you get to a certain tax bracket, you have to wake up. You know, that's why I didn't understand what Wesley was doing when they came and got him. I said, man, you know, most people don't realize that most of the cats that are in the movies in Hollywood don't live in California. California's gotten bad with the Texas. Yeah. Most of the people move out to Idaho. They in Iowa and
Texas. Even
Texas, Utah, Wyoming, places you would never even think of. And you walk out there, that's where the people with the money to move to because of the tax laws.
Because of the tax laws.
You see that New York they changed their tax laws because what's happening in LA happened in New York 12, 13 years ago. It got to a point where the taxes got so high, all the big companies moved out. They started moving down to Texas and we're here where I live in Arizona. Yeah. eBay and what you call them? It's like 5 or 6 of those big ass companies. They're right down the street because the tax laws in Arizona have been set up for years. Like, come on, you can have this land and we won't tax you. And here are the jobs. You know, that's why Phoenix is what, the 4th, 5th largest city now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how much Arizona has grown.
Yeah. It continues.
That's why I moved out the city.
Huh?
That's why I moved out of the city of Chicago, moved to the suburbs.
Well, you got to, bro. But here's what's happening there. Now you got this mass exodus of people like my age that leaving New York, they're leaving LA, and they're moving into the suburbs of these cities like where you at. So what's going to happen is going to be the inverse. All of a sudden, the suburbs are going to become the crowded area, and everybody going to move back to the city.
I mean, that's how it's going.
That's what happened. That's what happened in LA.
Yeah,
everyone moved into the suburbs.
But see,
now everybody trying to move back into the city because the city was like downtown LA. If you had ever been there, was like a slum. It's where, but now they're building it all up because you got all them buildings and all that space down there. That's where everybody's moving into. I'm like, damn.
Is it pretty vibrant there now, or
downtown LA?
Yeah.
No, when I came to LA, when I moved out there 10 years ago, it's where Slum Row was. What they call it? What Skid Row?
Skid Row.
Downtown. I'm a big dude. I used to go running down through there. And ain't nobody gonna bother me, you know, unless they really hardcore. And in that case, it didn't matter where I was. But it was bad. It was bad. Now it's all nightclubs, restaurants, high-end lofts. You know, all them big ass buildings that were downtown. Most of them was empty. They turned them all into like these unbelievable lofts and all that. They built that LA Live down. That's downtown. The Music Museum is downtown. They put in that whole new train system. Oh, they put billions in the downtown LA.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing. You still got a little section down there that's pretty rough, but for the most part,
it's pretty popular in LA, or is the big people like the blues? Is the blues pretty popular in LA, or
blues? LA has a huge blues scene, and LA has a huge jazz scene. The up part is a lot of the venues have closed. They were already closing down before COVID, but even the rock venues in LA are gone. I mean, you still got places like the Rainbow and the Roxy, but people that live in LA tell you that's up on Sunset. There used to be 1,000 clubs between Sunset and the Valley and all that, but everything's closed down. You know, the movie industry has pretty much moved out of LA. The studios are still there, but the movies are shot in Canada and Louisiana and up in Oregon and Seattle. They're not shot in LA anymore. Again, LA priced itself out of its own business. You know, they started taxing things so bad that the theaters are like, well, we have these buildings here that have been grandfathered in since the 1920s. You can't tax us on that. So LA started making it where it was so expensive to shoot a commercial or to shoot a movie in LA that all the movie people started going to Louisiana. Then they started going to Canada and Seattle and Nashville. Then once that closed up, and a lot of musicians in LA, when we did tour, you made a killing being a session guy because all the big record companies, all the big movie theaters that did movie, all that was here. Now all that's moved to Nashville. So I was just talking to my buddy Chuck, who owns one of the top studios in LA, and he's got his up for sale for $1.6 million. He's already bought a place out in the suburbs of Nashville. He gone. And he's been in LA for 40 years. The guy did more movies and more big ass, you know, him and them guys from Guns N' Roses are friends, and all them guys, they moved out. But what happened is Nashville, if you've been in Nashville the last 10 years, it's changing where Nashville looks like LA. It's more
rock and other things than in this country anymore. It's crazy. The prices in Nashville are starting to go through the roof compared to what Nashville used to be. But the same thing is happening in Texas. And that's because Californians, a house in the ghetto in California, I mean the ghetto, we know Compton Watts is like about $750,000. So I sell that. I can go anywhere else in the middle of the country, except for maybe New York and LA, and buy out right. That ain't nothing for us. You sell in California, coming to Arizona or somewhere else, it ain't nothing.
Right.
Not only that, you selling, you buying your house and you putting money in the bank.
Yeah.
But it's changing the culture. That's the very reason why Arizona went Democrat this year.
And Texas almost did it too.
And it will the next time. It ain't because the politics have changed.
No.
It's because the people that have moved there.
The people that have moved there, exactly.
And they don't realize no one taking account the amount of people. They say that California is losing over 800,000 people a year. But there's 1.3 million moving in to replace it.
They going to Arizona and Texas.
Arizona and Texas.
A lot of people from Chicago is going to Arizona and Texas.
No, I see more Illinois license plate. And you see it.
Yeah.
There's areas like Goodyear and all that. They used to be like.
That's how I'm in Goodyear.
You're in Goodyear.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when Goodyear used to be a service station, bro.
Yeah, now it's built up. Yeah.
It's a city.
Yeah.
70, 80, 90,000. But listen, I'm in the city of Maricopa. When I moved here just 10 years ago, there were 14,000 people. There are now 72,000 people in this city.
Wow.
This was in the country. That's why I moved out here. It was the country. Casa Grande is over there. Casa Grande is a good side. And then Gila Bend, ain't nothing in Gila Bend on the other side. And this little city here in Maricopa, we were like, Pam and I like, we like this. We out in the desert. There ain't nobody, but we like this. And since we moved there, it's now, when they just did this last census, 72,000 motherfuckers.
Dang.
And growing.
And growing.
I mean, look at Chandler. You live out good. You look at Chandler and Mesa. Look what's happening. Look, we go further than that, Daniel. Look at Queen Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Queen Creek is the new Scottsdale.
Yeah.
So I never thought anybody would say $1 million home in Arizona.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy. And it's all Californians. They also a lot of Californians were moving to Seattle and Portland, but the economy isn't as good. But see, a lot of people do like my wife and I. We live here, but we still work in LA because it's just down the street.
Right.
You fly, like I said, we can fly out. I fly out. Pam was doing it every week. Fly to Phoenix to Burbank. It's 45 minutes. She have a car at the Burbank airport. It costs her $20, $15, $20 a day. That ain't no big deal. In between time when she didn't use it, she fly in, go to work. She usually work 3 or 4 days in a row. We have our big RV stayed over there down in the valley. So she'll stay in our RV a few days there, take the car back to the airport, and fly back home. I pick her up. She's home for 7, 8 days.
She stays in a place over there?
Yeah, we have our RV. So I have my RV down in the valley, down in Van Nuys, right off of Balboa. It's called Hollywood RV Park. I've been having it there now for like 7, 8 years. And I leave it parked there, full hookups and everything. And it's better than any hotel room. And she's sleeping on her mattress and her bed, her food. It's 11 miles from the job.
Yeah. So it's just easy to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey fellas, I got to get up out of here.
Yeah, man, because I'm talking forever now. So.
Right. Sugar, thank you, man. This will be posted. Today is Friday. It'll be posted up by Sunday, man.
Okay.
And it's cool. I put all your social media stuff under
everything.
There.
Please do.
I got you, brother. I got you. And thank you again, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, David. I'll be praying for your pops too, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
it. Daniel, nice to meet you, man.
You too.
All right, Dan.
Oh yeah, Daniel, you're in Goodyear. You know, I'm also in the Arizona Hall of Fame, so don't forget that.
The Blues Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
My man.